Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of We Bought a Mic, a podcast about mushrooms, cordyceps, violent vengeance, and love. Welcome. We're talking about The Last of Us, Season 2, an HBO original. All episodes now streaming on Max.
7 of them, a very normal amount.
Which was used to be called HBO Max. Now it's called Max, but it now will be called HBO Max.
It's not called, well, it's not called HBO Max yet. Call it by its proper name, which is still Max for like the next like week and a half.
Okay.
Until it becomes HBO Max again.
And then eventually HBO Max plus Prime Supreme.
Go.
Yeah. Now, welcome. My name's Ernest.
Sorry, I was trying to pull up a person.
You had literally so much time.
I didn't have. People often say that I'm the Jesse of my relationship, and I'm just waiting to figure out what that means. My name is Hunter.
I'm Drew. I'm excited to talk gamer shit with my
real gamer
gamer bros.
Yeah,
gamer boys.
We are going to like end the pod by like we're all gonna leave the room, and we're just gonna like have you talk about like the game, or at least what you think happens.
You're going to talk about the Nintendo DS version.
Yeah. You're going to be like, well, it's a lot like Madden Ultimate Team.
And joining us today, welcome back, very special guest, returning once again, Javi. How you doing, man?
Doing good. We're recovering once again from seeing this story. I think.
Yeah, because you did a full playthrough, a re-playthrough, or you've done, I guess, several re-playthroughs of this game.
Playthroughs. I got a PS5 so I could play GTA 6. I was like, all right, let's play Last of Us again. And so I'm almost 100% into it. But I've played this game a bunch, several playthroughs.
Are you one of the sickos who plays like survival mode, like you die and you start the game over again, or like
permadeath
guy?
So I did a permadeath. But I can't take full credit because you can switch when your permadeath respawns you, and I just did to the beginning of each chapter.
Okay.
Because the whole game, like that's a lot of game.
People who do that is like, psychotic. You don't like to have fun.
Especially this game where the story is so fucking dour. Yeah, I would just like have to fast forward through the cutscenes if I was doing that. I will say, after watching this season, I was like, damn, I really want to just replay this game.
Yeah.
Like it just put me back in the feels of it. And I was like, damn, should I just drop Oblivion and Indiana Jones and like just go back to The Last of Us because it's that good?
Oh my God. Like I think I'm definitely feeling the same way. A lot of my friends are too. And I'm noticing a lot of people who haven't played before. I don't know if you feel this way, Drew, but a lot of people are saying like, wow, was the game like this? I kind of want to try the game now. But like even and just looking at it now, apparently Sony on the PlayStation Store, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered was the 10th highest selling game at the beginning of April when the show premiered.
Wow. And that's just for PC only. That's wild.
Yeah.
So we had you on for season 1 2 years ago. Hunter, you were not on that episode.
No, I was a little bit late to The Last of Us.
Yeah.
I think I did watch it, and
it was on your top 10. It was on my top 10.
Yeah, it was on your top 10s, but I had not played the game at that point. The first or the second game.
Wow.
And I have since then played both games. We're going to talk about how that directly kind of informed some of my thoughts on season 2. But like I played the game right before firing up season 2. I was like, I don't even want to start the season until I beat the game.
Oh, you beat the game.
I beat it. Yeah.
Before watching a frame of the new season.
Because
that just feels like setting yourself up to not like.
Well,
maybe a little bit.
Yeah, there are some things we'll get into whenever we talk about the minutia and some of the plotting of this season of television. But yeah, pretty fucking good game. I don't know. Nobody's talking about this thing.
So
nobody's talking about this thing.
You
seen this? I heard about this.
I think we're gonna struggle right here to talk about spoiler free without, cause some things happen.
Yeah.
In this story.
I mean, I have some brief spoiler free thoughts for season 2 of The Last of Us.
Let's get them out of the way quick.
I think that up top, this to me, it reminded me a little bit of last season of The Bear, where
Part one.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
It felt there's a lot of part one to this. And especially after playing the game, I think that there's a way that they could have made it not feel so part one. And it's almost like I'm kind of a little bit perplexed by some of the choices that they made here. But I think overall, this was for me at least a step in the wrong direction from season one. And one of my main points with that is I think season one, Craig Mazin does a much better job of developing the wider world around outside of just these two central characters. And because season two is a lot more plot heavy, we don't have as much of those, as much color, I'll say.
Deviations.
Yeah. As much like going off the beaten path, meeting these characters, getting to know their story, and like how because I think that that all informs the world. This isn't just a world that's like we're not watching The Walking Dead. This isn't just like a zombie survival show that's all about these like epic battle sequences and whatever. Like this is a show about loss. It's about chosen family and like trying to create community, whatever community means to you. I say all that saying like this is still a phenomenally made show. So I want to like put that up at the top ahead of any kind of criticisms that I might have for like where some of the things with the show doesn't work. I think there's a lot of bad faith arguments that are out there about this show that I'm sure we are going to get into that are feel
some we don't even
really gross, really gross and weird. But I think overall this is still a good show, even if I think it's a step down from season one.
Drew?
Yeah, I think from what I've heard, I'm coming at this like holistically from just a TV perspective because I haven't played the games, although it was impossible not to spoil the general. I mean, the big plot points were not spoiled for me.
Good.
And I was
That's great.
And so I was truly like
what a life
blown away, like just by the audacity of the second game to do what it does. Like, what in the fuck? And that's generally what I had heard about the second game is that, I mean, obviously, like any sequel, things are getting bigger and we're seeing more perspectives, but also like big polarizing choices are being made that affect the entire trajectory of the plot and who we're following. So that comes into fruition in season two, and that's a really hard thing to sort of steady the ship once things really get moving here. Like it's hard to come to grips with what's going on. So I agree. I don't think it's as cleanly executed as season one. I mean, season one is, if you could call it that, it is a simpler story.
More straightforward.
Yeah, I think it's easier to turn into television than the second game probably is. Like from an adaptation perspective, they have their work cut out. Exactly. Like thinking of a lot of the changes they had to make. I agree with you, Hunter. Like I'm sure that they could have done certain things better, but this is like really, really difficult stuff they're dealing with. Like how at what episode do we make this happen?
Yeah.
How much should in the game you're in this character's perspective from this point, but that makes no sense once you adapt it. Like this is like a Rubik's cube from a television writing perspective. Yeah. And so I'm still generally like happy with what we got. I enjoyed watching it episode to episode. It still feels like big event television. And so even if it's flawed, we don't really have a lot of things to compare it to at the moment. There's not a lot going on like this right now. You know what I mean? So we still get a lot of the core heart of what makes you fall in love with the show and the world building. I agree. Once things really get going, it feels like it's all happening too quickly to really flesh out things that we wish we could flesh out. But it's still, it still delivers on like the core, like soul, like, and like the gut wrenching moments. It's got a lot there that you can still love.
Javi, what did you think of Last of Us season 2?
Going into the season, I really did not expect them to follow the structure exactly. So I was pretty surprised that I expected, obviously, spoiler alert, that's the story, right? But I was surprised that they did the structure pretty similar to the game overall, but I'm also glad that they did. That being said, as a TV show, it's really different because in a video game, you're very much in Ellie's headspace. You're thinking, oh, I gotta kill these guys. I'm gonna go action. But from just the watcher's perspective, it's like, oh my God, don't do that. Don't go in there. What are you doing?
There's a lot more room to like be
Mhm.
pissed off at who you're watching when you're not
Yeah.
them.
Right.
And
Should I bleep what he just said, or should we just go all in?
I'd say maybe bleep it. Maybe bleep it just for now.
Yeah.
Because we got to just talk about what the
Yeah,
story
for the listeners, Javi said a crazy slur that I've never even heard before. So we had to bleep it out, unfortunately.
I mean, just to clear out the last little bit of spoiler free thoughts here, because I don't think it makes too much sense to keep beating around the bush. Like, I agree with pretty much everything you guys have said. I think this is a flawed season of television. I still think it's one of the best shows on TV right now. I think that the choices made to truncate the story of the second game into multiple seasons
Mhm.
is a little bit messy,
Mhm.
but I think it's going to pay off in the next season big time. I think that what they've done here to sort of section off this cutoff that we get is going to make it so season 3 is going to have way more room to breathe. At least I hope so.
Well, I think it's audacious. I didn't know it was the fucking finale because it was episode 7 when I was watching
It's
it.
a weird.
And so
It's hints of the first season of Severance, which I think is also 7 episodes. I was like, what? Or 9 episodes. I was like,
yeah,
cool. What?
So it's upsetting for that reason, but I think you're right that while still giving us enough to focus on here that it feels like it's its own story, they have tangentially in the background been like setting up the chess pieces for something else.
Yeah.
And that's what we're about to get. Hunter, I know 1,000% it could have been done better in both directions.
Well, I listened back to a little bit of our pod last time with Javi, and I remember us speculating about what a season 2 might be. And Javi and I coming at it from a point where we knew what the second game was going to be and what Mason had done to adapt the first game. We were hoping for more of these deviations. We were hoping for more Bill and Franks, for more like the little talk show that starts the very first episode, or the interstitial in, what is it, Indonesia, at the time of the outbreak. Like, these little moments that are not in the game at all, but add so much more texture to the show. We were kind of predicting and hoping that season 2 would lean more in that direction.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. It actually pulls back.
Well, I think at its worst, the season does feel like it's setting you up for more, because they've announced like this is going to be 4 seasons. It's no longer a 3-season production. So there will be 2 more seasons. I think that Mason and Druckmann, I think Druckmann is having a lot of fun realizing that he can do that. And that, like, now that he has set the sandbox, even though he explored so much of it in these games, they can go off in different directions. And I think there's going to be more of that in the next 2 seasons.
I really hope so, because I think that the coloring text of this world, I think, is one of the things that makes the game special. It's not just playing the part of Ellie, but it is also as you are exploring this world. Like, I was reading every single note that I found and like putting the pieces together in this one area of like, oh, this is an outbreak. And I'm like reading the story of like how things went to shit for this one family in this house here that I'm just like in right now. Like, it's one of the very, very few games that I think has like just enough colorful text that I want to ingest all of that. It's not just about like what this world is and just these characters. I think, if anything, one of my problems with this season is that it both feels truncated and stretched out at the same time. It feels truncated in character motivations and some of the plot points that we're like kind of I know it's a little bit setting up stuff. It also felt a little bit shoehorny to me, where it's like, well, why do I care about what these people are talking about, or why we're in this location right now? Like, this means nothing to me except for here's something, we're going to come back here in the future, just you wait. it's more so from the character point of view, though, where I'm like, I am a little bit worried about how they're handling one of the characters from the show.
So much of the story depends, like, even from the way that it's directed to the way it's written. I think what's the struggle for people who have played the game is that a lot of the story depends on revealing information at very unorthodox points.
Mhm.
So part of it is like, I know it's going to happen. How does that go there? But also from even if you're watching from as a newcomer, the fact that you're not 100% in Ellie's headspace from the beginning, you're still questioning her motives, and for all intents and purposes, she's pretty much one of the central characters of the show. And I think that in itself is a very uneasy thing, but also it's just very hard to relate to a character if you don't know exactly what's motivating them.
Yeah.
And I think you see that a lot. Yeah, and I mentioned a little bit in the game, it's like, okay, I got to do this stuff, so it's not really a big deal. But watching, there's just that struggle to think, okay, because she's making these decisions, I can't really understand why.
Right.
And
No,
obviously,
Yeah.
the season answers some of those questions, but there is that entire period where you're just like on the fence. It's a little messy. I think that's by design. That's part of the story, and it's audacious, like Drew was saying. I think I was relieved to see some of that in there, but it's just such a difficult thing to ask of an audience. Like if you're just gonna
absolutely.
throw them in without.
Well, yeah, and so let's just do spoilers now.
Yeah.
It's hard to ask
Let's
of
get
an
into
audience to watch episode 2 and be like, wait, so they killed Joel?
Yeah.
What?
After like that is the one thing that if you're going to point to from season 1, like the one item that's like this makes this show special, makes it different, is the chemistry that Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal
like
have together. It is undeniable. It was truly like one of the best pairings I've seen in TV in years.
And it's the buildup.
Yeah.
It's each episode earning a new layer of that relationship.
Yeah, and it's just it works better because I don't know how dialogue goes in the game, but I'm imagining that it's not like Oscar worthy, but it's still like very compelling.
I mean, there's some really good scenes in the game.
Well, so a lot of what's great and a lot of when Craig Mazin is at his best, even dating back to Chernobyl, is when he's writing characters that are quieter.
Yeah.
When he is writing for someone that is when he's writing for one person who's really witty and saying a lot, that's fine, especially because, she's bouncing off of someone who's way more stoic. So you have that dynamic. When two Mazin characters are talking to one another and they're both very clever, it really starts to bother me.
Dina?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's in
Those relationship scenes, some of them are really rough.
well,
And
so there's a huge it's just there's just a massive dynamic change where like everything that we were banking the whole show on. Again, I mean, this leads to like how the second game is like, that's so bold to do. It's absolute, like it's unhinged. Any studio would be begging you not to do that.
But, and Javi, back me up here. The game does not concern itself with the Ellie Dina dynamic as much as the show.
Yeah.
It's so much more invested in Ellie descending down this solo path of violence, right?
Yes.
You guys,
I mean,
100%.
well, it is still a like point, like you were saying that this is a budding relationship. But in terms of time invested, of you holding the controller for X amount of time, you're mostly murdering people. Yeah. Well, and I think this is going to be both like I'll do like a criticism or a compliment and then a criticism of the show. Is a compliment is that Ellie kills what in total like 3 or 4 actual humans throughout this entire season. So you feel the murder different.
Yeah.
Like you actually feel you have to live with the consequences.
And that's a conscious choice, to change the character.
That is a great choice because it makes it feel more profound whenever she does cross that line. My problem with the show, this is kind of was just something that's been bugging me the entire season. I think that the season finale like really kind of emphasizes it is when you were playing the game, you as a player kind of realize that like Ellie has this slow descent into madness. I think from the get-go, Ellie is pretty unempathetic as a character to the point like and here's a little Drew for context for the game. Tommy goes ahead of everybody. Like Tommy is out there looking for Abby before that. Like they're going there to go get them. Dina, it does want to go with Ellie. That's true. Jesse also is there and like wants to also go and find Abby. And like they're all working together to get revenge in this joint journey. It's not just one person acting solely what feels like out of self-interest and out of pure vengeance. It comes across in this way where you're just like, I don't really like Ellie as a character anymore. She is now just on this like bloodthirsty path for revenge without any kind of regards for who is going to get hurt in her way, as opposed to like we're all kind of on the same path. And maybe she's going to be the one who's going to cross the most lines to get there. But you're putting her out there on this island. And my fear for the show is that when we are introduced to other characters to be named in the future, it's now going to become good versus bad guy. And I think that takes away the whole beautiful part of the game is the nuance. This is a show, or this is a world, I should say, that exists in the grays, that everybody has both like light and dark within them. Everybody has vengeance and everybody has to pay penance for their actions that they have caused. And I'm worried that the show is becoming a little bit too black and white for my liking.
So let's rewind back to how the season begins. It's what, 5 years later?
Yeah. We're in Jackson.
It's a fast 5 years later flash forward. We're in Jackson. Wasn't expecting that. It's, if you were just like from whole cloth coming up with a season 2, you would never ever, you know what I mean? It's such an interesting choice. Jackson is very fleshed out. Joel is like the director of public works.
Construction.
That's cool.
Yeah. He is a working man.
Yeah.
And I think that it is ultimately, I like the idea that like there's this unspoken but huge friction between Joel and Ellie. Like it makes a ton of sense. And it's the way that it's told throughout the season makes it so you're not sure whether or not you're going to fully understand it or get resolution, and then later than you think you do. And by the way, when you do, I think it absolutely sings. I love it.
What specifically?
When we find out they had that one last conversation.
Oh,
it's like
brother.
It's like special.
Minor spoilers for it. That is how the game ends. That conversation?
You don't get that until way later.
Which honestly, I think like I like where it's at in the game because then it reinforms everything that you have been playing up to that point.
Well, exactly. You're watching it and you're just like, wow. So like, she just kind of hated him, and then he dies, and so now she's mad. I don't know. It adds so much. It works so well. And it also, I mean, they couldn't even use it to end the season because they have to end the season with like telling you where they're going.
That whole episode, the penultimate episode of this season, which that's my favorite episode of the season.
The flashback.
I think that is told through like flashback sequences that you get throughout the course of the game. Like that isn't just all like in one.
I like it all in one.
I did like it. Well, because I will say it made me cry during the game. It made me cry watching the show whenever Ellie is in the spaceship and her actually going to space and everything. It's fucking so beautiful, man.
Javi's going through it over there.
It's so good.
Javi's turning the camera off.
I cry. I literally, like, people say they cry every time they watch something, and it's never happened to me until between the game and the show, it's Joel and Ellie having that conversation. And it just, man. And like, just watching them act it out, like, their performances are so awesome.
They're both really special actors. Again, I especially not yet.
Gonna miss Pedro.
Absolutely gonna miss Pedro. While watching it, I was like, there's no fucking way this is the last episode with him. And so to get one more was just like, thank God. And it's not like it's giving you like the most saccharine, it's not like it's unearned.
No.
Like it's still really sad. So it works insanely well. Their dynamic was just something, you know what I mean? And it's going to be hard to recreate in general. But in order to do that, we're introduced early on to Dina, Isabella Merced, who I think is a great actress. And I think part of the reason that they're sort of digging deeper than the game may have is because they have her. She's kind of a git. She's been, she's
was about to blow up. She's in Superman.
She's in Superman. She's been around for years. She was the star of the ill-fated Dora movie. I don't think I had ever really seen her in anything.
She is popping as a character.
She has like
no offense to whoever played her in the game.
No, exactly. She has a real electricity to her. And like I said, they don't always make it easy with the lines that they're giving these younger characters. It doesn't always feel authentic. Yeah. And her and Bella are by far the best out of any young character in this. I'm not super crazy about the guy playing Jesse.
Young Mazzino.
He is like the most NPC character, and he is like, I actually think in the game he has like a lot to him. Like him and Jesse or him and Ellie are like, they're like boys. Like they just like kind of like are more in sync with each other, and so it's just like he does die unceremoniously in the game, just like he dies.
This is also so it's an allocation of resources thing sometimes with shows like this. For example, in season 1, it's a really great episode and a great character, but the guy who's like the older brother of the deaf kid, that actor sucked. And watching it, I was like, I think I turned to my girlfriend and I said, like, he's gonna die this episode. He's not a 2-episode actor. Like, he's not that guy. So yeah, watching Jesse die, I was like, okay. I mean,
especially the whole episode, he's like, I need to live.
Yeah, I really need to live. I need to get home. I'm a dad now. Just make sure I don't die.
He sounds
22 minutes.
He sounds like a video game voice actor.
Sorry, young.
I don't think it was a very dynamic performance.
Jump in here. Thoughts on all this, specifically the dynamic shift here. Losing Joel, gaining Dina. What are your thoughts on all this?
In the show, they definitely, I like how they added more, like adding more Dino is cool. I did struggle with some of the stuff because it felt so sudden. I think, especially some of the turns that they make, the differences, like, for instance, when they have their first kiss is a very different moment than it is in the game.
Really?
And I think
I hated that scene. Really did not work for me at all. That scene in the show.
Well, you sided with the old man.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know, because
it's just like it's a thing that it's this big, like, you have the moment of like, oh my God, Ellie, like she's immune, like, and then just be like, I'm pregnant. And it's like, what? You can't do like all of this at once. I
was definitely shocked they had me. I just don't know that.
Well, are you talking about the first kiss like at the dance though?
Oh, you're right. No, not the dance. I'm talking about them in the theater.
Okay.
In the theater, that was shocking. That threw me off. The first episode, their kiss, that whole first episode, I love. Like them building them up, like them looking at each other, joking about killing the clicker. I like what they added, but I did still struggle with some of that stuff. We can go into it as we hit the other episodes. But with Joel dying, that was pretty similar. Like that episode was awesome.
Probably the standout of the season, right?
Yeah,
it's I think a big reason that it impressed me is that like the giant zombie set piece thing. Like,
I love that.
It just has a million ways to go really poorly, and I think they executed it well. It's not like why we watch the show, you know what I mean? And so like it has a lot of chances to be like, okay, I get it. But like it was pretty harrowing.
What did you think of that, Javi? The Battle of Jackson? Because that's not in the game.
I really enjoyed it. I don't know what it is. Like even after knowing the story, I was still so nervous before every episode. Like, what if they change this? What if they do that? And even
when they're gonna fuck it up.
So much of that too. And then, like so much of it looked great. There were some moments where the bloater like takes me out a little bit. But aside from that, like all the effects were done great. Like all the infected were scary. Like I was more scared for some of those moments, like Abby running through the fence and everything, than I was in the game.
That was so good.
That looked
like
cool.
All the kind of little detail, like them pushing their hands through the fence and everything.
Amazing.
The bloater is just such like a video game invention.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's like that's.
It's like okay. I mean,
we can see the Rat King.
Oh my God!
The Rat King is coming.
Javi, I need you to help me out here. I need you to stream the Rat King on Discord. I need you to at me. I need you to do a little I mean, if people don't want to see it, if people want to save it for the show, to see it on the show, but it, I would have to play all the way up to that point to get there, and I don't think I have the time.
So you're outsourcing that work to Javi.
You
It's
know,
really kind of you.
there's just like videos that are actively available on
No,
YouTube
but
right
I
now.
want to hang out with Javi as he.
I would be
You
happy
kill
to.
as you fight
And
the Rat King.
I have to say, like as far as like splitting or outsourcing the gameplay for that scene, it's exactly what me and my roommate did when we first played the game. Because when we got to that part, they're just better at stealthing than I was. So they ended up playing more just from sheer skill. But in a set piece like that, there was nothing they could do, and it was my turn. That's all I can say.
There's a lot of goodies coming in season 3, and I think ultimately all the complaints that I have of this season feel like they had to stick to the game closer to clear out for what's coming, which is a little bit disappointing because they could have just taken the story of The Last of Us Part 2 and blown it up and put it back together in a way that was completely different.
They could have
from
used
the game.
they could have used all that like battle of like they could have used all that big zombie sequence money on like an 8th episode that's like small.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or do something a little bit more conventional and cross cut between Abby and Ellie.
Yeah.
And show us both of these stories together.
So this is sort of centrally like my issue with the season, if I'm to like locate it, is that like for the season we're operating without all the context we need, and so by the end of it, like it almost feels better than it was in the moment because you learn what you needed to know in the first place. But I mean, a big diversion between from what I know the game in this season is that like Abby kills Joel and you know hardly anything about her or why you get why she's doing it, but you don't feel why she's doing it.
You don't really know why
it's really asking a lot of Caitlin Dever, who's a great actress, but like she's having to carry the weight of like hours of narrative that we just didn't see because we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
But in the game, you see that already, right?
No.
You just have to kill him.
Yeah.
You are the one also in control. You have to be the one
So
to like
but you
press X to
but you like have spent time with her.
Yeah.
No.
No, that's the intro of the game.
In The Last of Us Part 2, the death of Joel, you don't know who Abby is at all. You don't find out that she is the daughter of the doctor until way later.
But how long are you her before you start killing Joel?
I don't know, maybe like 30 minutes of gameplay. Like it's the introduction of the game.
Trudging through the mountain snow.
Okay, so it's not so much. What an insane game.
Insane.
I know, no, it's right.
Seriously?
You get it, and you kind of realize because they're like, we're on the hunt for this guy, like we have to kill him, and you don't know that it's Joel until like they meet each other, and you're like, oh god, I have to kill Joel now.
Yeah.
And then you just are the one who has to like sit there and do the
You're
deed.
killing the main character of the first.
So I wanted to ask you two guys, as people who have played the game, going back to like what I was saying earlier about one of my central problems with the framing of Ellie in this, and maybe it's because we don't see as much Abby, that all we see of Ellie is her being like selfish and acting
her being like, you don't even get me, Dad.
Like we all have like this like golden angel Abby picture in our head of like, well, I'm definitely gonna be on fucking Team Abby whenever she shows up, because we aren't even getting the cross-cutting, we aren't getting any of the nuance. Where were you guys at on kind of some of the more decisions to make Ellie more isolated on her journey for vengeance?
So you're saying like in the game, like where were we at in regards to like her journey?
Just like the choice
show?
to like not to make Ellie, her motives feel less redeemable kind of from the jump.
I think so. I was a little conflicted about that because it's so different from the game. It's a little jarring at first, but I think like it took a little bit of rationalizing, but I also had to like reprocess it because it was such a struggle to think about it. Okay, but as a first time perspective, like what's the goal here? And then I think what I derived at is it is cooler to see this as like a 19-year-old girl who's scared, who is more frantic. I think that's an exciting take. And yeah, I think it's really cool in the game, But I think it's really cool that we get this grounded take. Like someone gets to have another go at it with this kind of just like less affable Ellie. You know, she's less of a badass and she people have been saying bratty, but she's like 19. Like she's going through it.
Yeah, and this guy's like not actually her fucking dad.
Exactly. Yeah. She's like doing him a favor because he couldn't get over the death of his daughter.
Yeah, and she's also like, hey, by the way, I almost am for sure that you killed 1 million people.
Yeah.
and then lie to me about it.
Right. You're a psycho.
And then she's just like, but I will now actually continue your legacy and I will go on murderous rampage now.
So I tried to do my best to set aside the image of the game in my head, which is impossible. Like I'm constantly going to be comparing them and I'm constantly going to be thinking about the game. But I was trying really hard to take this season as a season of television as much as possible while knowing the story and the beats and where everything was going to go, because, I can't make myself forget all of that. But when it comes to the adaptation of the Ellie character, all I kept thinking about was the choice to understand her parallel to Abby and to know that Abby's journey is a journey of blind rage and violence and revenge. So what they're trying to do, and it was the same thing that the game was trying to do, is to put you in this place of someone who doesn't see reason and isn't going to have a nuanced take on the situation, but is going to be driven by full uncontrollable vengeance, right? So I think when you're playing the game especially for the first time and you're coming off of part 1, you want to sympathize with Ellie. You want to, put yourself in her shoes and try to understand the nuance there. But when you're extrapolating the entire story and looking at it, bird's eye view, you can see that her path is the same path as Abby.
Right.
And I think that that's sort of what they were trying to get at with the adaptation, with the show. I don't know if it was 100% successful, but I think that the attempt here in what you could say is simplifying it, I think is also trying to draw that very clear distinction of these two characters are on the same quest.
I just think that, and maybe it's because of the lack of cutting to Abby and learning about her story, like to see the parallel tracks in place. And who knows? Honestly, I hope that we get more of the background of Abby that we don't see in the game, in the show. So we can, as an audience, see like, hey, she was also filled with like blind rage that nobody could stop her until she like received vengeance. And then was
everything
like kind of
pre-Jackson.
Yeah. Like I think maybe that would also help to kind of make it. Because right now I'm worried that it's going to be like, just like her story is about like how there's been enough murder and like we got to stop this somewhere. Like, and Ellie is kind of on the opposite track. I think another reason, and thinking about this just from a show perspective and kind of putting the game on the side, another reason that I struggled a little bit with Ellie, and this is, I do want to say, this is no fault of Bella Ramsey. I think Bella Ramsey perfectly embodies Ellie, and I don't really know how you can play the game or watch the show and
I see who you're aligning yourself with, and it's
with the Facebook group.
I think that Bella Ramsey is a excellent performer, and I think that people who don't like her, it's weird people because they can't fetishize her. Frankly. I think my other issue with the character of Ellie and the way that she is written in the story is every time that Ellie has a moment where it feels like she is kind of having this like, oh my God, what have I done? I'm like starting to kind of like realize the depths of hell that I'm diving into. Like whenever she tortures that one woman who's like the doctor person, she's down there and you see her with Dina and she is like shooken, she is like traumatized, she's like, I torture her, like I thought it was going to be more difficult and it was hard, like it was so easy. And then she just like I don't know, like a couple scenes later is like, all right, let's go back to murdering people again. And like, or in the season finale, we have this whole thing where it's just like, oh my God, they're gonna like kill this random child, like for the scars or something like that. But then like another 5 minutes pass and she's immediately reeling to just like, I don't give a shit about Tommy anymore. Like I need to just keep going out and do my own murderous vengeance. And I think that it's the lack of letting things breathe, or it feels like there's like always like a scene missing. Maybe it's like a cutback, even like something as simple as like in the game, sorry to bring this back to the game, we have these flashes as Ellie to like hearing the screams of Joel, or like her just like laying on the ground, just like seeing him, like his body, like his like face bloody and pulsing. And even like a moment like that, like refocuses you like, yeah, no shit, that was crazy, but like I'm still on a mission here. I'm still on a journey. And it feels like the show is just missing some of those moments. So then whenever we do have those sequences with Ellie where she's like, I'm feeling like remorse for my actions, it then just feels a little bit two-faced because she's going back on those immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, toward the end of the season, things just start feeling very condensed. Because they are, you know,
that last episode I thought was,
yeah, they're trying to plow through a ton of shit because they need to get us to this point, and for some reason they've decided that has to be in 7 episodes.
Yeah,
it's
island, them going to the island of the scars, which is something that doesn't happen in the game, is the most nothing.
It's so crazy. Yeah, exactly.
It makes no
That's
sense.
Exactly what I'm thinking of.
It has it like
she
that was
gets
just
on
like,
a boat, ends up, she washes the shore on this island, is taken to a very handy and ready noose situation to get hung. And then they hear a whistle and they're like, we got to go. Sorry. And then she's like, all right, back to my quest. Like it's so crazy. It feels so rushed.
It's a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, and generally speaking, you know, I mentioned this like back when we watched it, when we were talking on Discord, but I think because the show is trying to humanize Ellie's actions more instead of just reminding us of why she's being crazy, they're trying to give her, you know, they're trying to show that she's not just being crazy. They have this weird arc where like she acts insanely selfishly and decides to leave Tommy, you know, hanging and potentially get him killed instead of helping to rescue him, just so she can pursue Abby. Right after, by the way, Jesse has gone on an insanely long monologue about how she acts out of selfishness, which is completely accurate. It's so
how he needs to live.
It's just a really well written like piece by him where he's like, yeah, everything you do is with yourself, and it frames her correctly, and then she immediately proves him right. And then when they all convene back, he's like, you know what? Yeah, you know what, kid? You know why we helped you? Because I know you do the same thing for me. No, you just said that she wouldn't.
It feels
you can't do that.
And it does. It just goes back to the writing of it. That I'm like, what are we doing? Like, it feels
it's because they
we're missing chunks. We're missing like whole episodes.
They really, So I mean, yeah, we're told things out of order, obviously, but yeah, they want to make an effort to keep her more humanized and make sure the audience is staying on board with her actions. And like, I think it's a good idea, Hunter, to like, what if instead we just sort of keep reminding people of what she lost,
what the mission is.
Yeah. Because also like, season 1 was a long time ago. It was 2 years ago. And
get ready for another 2-year gap.
Yeah, and in the current landscape of how we absorb culture, that's a really, really, really long time. I just rewatched season 1, but I kept on thinking if I hadn't have rewatched that, it wouldn't matter as much to me that she's missing him. You know what I mean? That's just how memory works. So yeah, I think it's an attempt to do something like that makes sense. I just don't know if it's working out insanely well. That said, I would kind of just love to watch Ellie go sicko mode. I don't really need to be on board with what she's fucking doing.
Javi, thoughts on this? Did you want a Tommy episode? Because I did.
You want
100%.
So what do we get? Do we get that in the game? Are we Tommy?
They always tease a DLC that's never happened.
Are you serious?
They said there's an idea.
He goes to Seattle earlier, so it's just like, what was he doing those 3 days?
And I've also heard that Tommy is which is different in general in the show. Because he's like a member of the government practically in Jackson.
He's a leader.
Yeah. So in the game, he's not.
In the game, he's closer to Joel, where he's just like he's out for vengeance. Like
he's a shithead.
He goes ahead of
Basically.
Ellie to Seattle. He like sneaks out away from his wife and is just like, I'm gonna go get vengeance for my brother.
And like also to that, Maria sends Ellie and Dina to go rescue him too. That's how mad she is. So a huge turnaround from the show. But
Wow.
yeah, I know, so different. But you can see why they made that change.
Yeah, they're just it's like it's plotting choices, but like you have to completely change every character's
Yeah.
motivations in order to do something
I-
like that. Like that
I-
that's such a huge change to make.
Yeah. In regards to like Tommy, like he's not actually in the game that much more than he is in the show, but you're seeing like little clues, you're seeing dead bodies he left. You see a guy that he tortured and they talk about it a little bit. And to your point earlier, Hunter, I think if they had spent a little more time, just like the whole what the video game had, like a little wandering, just a little more time with these people, a little more patience, which is something Better Call Saul did really well, which is a super patient show, all the way on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Shout out.
Um, Shout out Better Call Saul, got to do it.
Mhm.
But I think it's definitely a tough adaptation to make, but I do think it could have benefited from a little more time. Because to Jesse going from I can't die, you're selfish, all the way to, you know what, kid? I have always loved you.
Yeah.
You're all right.
It was so crazy.
It's a huge turnaround to make in one episode.
Yeah, it made
like,
no
it-
sense.
If you really like try hard, parse it out, read between the lines in that episode, then maybe you can kind of see why. But it's just like if you're watching that episode as is, it's too much. It's a lot of progress for two characters to make in such a
Yeah,
quick amount of time.
they're bending over backwards to keep us on board with Ellie.
Right.
Because, and I think
Well, because the turn that's coming is a big turn. And I think they had to accelerate that in a major way here. They really want you. The game pulls this magic trick where you see Abby as a righteous protagonist against Ellie, the antagonist. And I don't know how this show does that without pulling the shortcuts that it just pulled.
this is okay. So this is also where I think it is fair to bring up that I think real life might be interfering with what they want to do here.
The strike?
No,
Oh.
the discourse around Bella Ramsey.
Oh, come on.
It is.
I hate that.
We have to talk about it because it's absolutely fucking vile.
It's really
It's so.
I hate it. And that's why I almost feel bad even like saying bad things about the Ellie character just because it's in the writing. It's not in the performance.
So
Bella Ramsey is
So all that I want to say is Bella Ramsey is a really special actor. They are good at things that you don't find young people being good at.
I mean, the flashback episode is a fucking showcase.
Really good at vulnerability, really good at, I mean, just generally playing the clever kid character. Those characters suck.
Yeah.
Injecting that much life into this character is really special. Their ability to bounce off Pedro was like, it was one of the better two-handers I've seen in years in anything, TV, movies. And that's not even getting into the technicals of act. Like the American accent, like they're to a point that like they're slurring words in an American way. That's something that like you only find in like British actors who are in like their 50s or 60s.
Shout out
like,
to
advanced stuff.
The guy in the pit. The Welsh guy.
So so I keep bringing this up because it's just a pet peeve of mine when someone just does not have the American accent down. And the Pit is such a grounded, like phenomenally real show. And there's this Welsh fucker who just can't. He's like, yeah, I'm from Nebraska.
Really funny.
So anyway, Bella is a really, really special, unique, like one of a kind actor.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It's a lot easier if you're a stupid person to judge what someone looks like as opposed to the quality of a performance. That's just way, way easier. And so that's what they do. I usually don't like, usually I would pay no mind to this, but it's kind of the only discourse about the show in certain parts of the internet is just,
I mean, the Facebook groups
it's obscene
that I don't follow that just show up on my
feed. Like my Twitter feed is like as libbed out as you could fucking get, and it's still seeping in there.
It's unreal.
It's so disgusting, and it's like you said, Hunter. I mean, it's people who are mad because they want to fetishize this child character.
Yeah,
like
because they think the video game model's hot.
Yeah.
And isn't it funny that like this is almost kind of and I wasn't even somebody who played The Last of Us Part 2 whenever it came out, but this is kind of mirroring some of the same discourse that people had with The Last of Us Part 2 whenever the game came out, and people were just like, I don't want to play as a fucking woman. Oh my god, she's a lesbian.
She's a dyke.
Ew. Like
Abby's got big arms. Ew.
I don't want to play as
she can stop my throat. Ew.
Yeah. Like
I hope she does it.
That's
just such like base level criticism from like absolute monkey brains that it doesn't deserve that much time. However, I genuinely do think
HBO snuffed it, and
no, I think that I think that they are feeling the need to compensate even more for this character because they know that if there's one issue that game fans had with this season is they just for some reason don't think that Bella is Ellie. And they cannot get past it. So they're like, okay, we got to make sure that people still like Ellie, even if she's doing awful shit. And so I think they do a little too much.
I won't spoil it, but there's a character in the game that I just can't wait for Twitter to kind of like learn who's going to be introduced into the story. Yeah.
Dude, that's going to be...
It's gonna
implode some people.
People are gonna be
like, "Oh my god,
so wait, what?" That's gonna be awesome. I
want to talk a little bit about the ways in which the show leans into Bella, and just the Ellie character in ways that we don't really get from the show. Because, like we've been saying, the game is very focused on action and sneaking around and doing the crab walk to look into drawers and grabbing bullets like this. You're just doing this a lot. And in the show, we get this episode that I want to highlight, episode 3, where there's this gap in between Joel's death and the moment when they set out to look for Abby in Seattle. And I'm very curious what you think about this, Javi, because I think that this, when we look back on the season, I don't think many people are going to remember this episode, but I think that this is one of the ways in which they managed to sneak in this thing that we were complaining about, that we were saying that the show didn't do, which is deviating, right? I think this is a really good deviation and filling out the space. We haven't mentioned Catherine O'Hara yet, who plays this new character, this therapist, and we get this moment where the town sort of discusses whether or not we
by the way,
go out to look for Joel's killer.
Very accurate toward like local government.
I was gonna say, as somebody who was just at a community meeting earlier today, can you speak?
It's fucking insane. It's the one guy standing up and like getting really fixated on like beans or whatever. Like it's so
corn over beans.
It's so true. And everyone else is like, hey, that's not what any of this is about.
We're here for one thing.
That happens every
time. Oh, well, I don't care about that. So this is my passion.
Thoughts on this? Because I feel like this is a special episode, not just for the show, but I think for Bella as well, to kind of show their chops, right?
Definitely that. And I think Bella, like her crying into the jacket, going on the grave, and what she does with her face when she, like after she's wiped her tears, she's talking with Dina. When she starts finding out the names, I love her in all of those scenes. It's really good. I like that they added that stuff because you're right, a lot of it did feel rushed. They did sneak in a little extra development. So you can see they made an effort in the grand scheme of it. I'm not sure what the real solution is there, but
yeah,
all of it was welcome, because part of me watching the show for the first time is like, okay, I know it's happening, and like, why are they doing this? But when they do something new, it's like, oh, I get to sit back.
It's a treat.
I can turn that part of my brain off, and I can just enjoy. So that's always nice for me to see.
I think to that point, like it's not even deviations, it's color. Like that's
Yeah.
what we want for all of this.
Depth.
Is we just want depth. We
Yeah.
want color to
Hey,
this world.
Joey,
I don't just
Joey Pants is depth. Tell you that.
Yeah.
Joey
Eugene,
motherfucking
baby.
One
Yeah.
scene, and I was like, God damn it! Can we get like one more scene?
man. He's special.
Oh,
Ah.
Eugene, man. We don't get Eugene, but we get his pot
He's
in
special.
the game. Which is a great little moment. But I mean,
Joey Pants is just built different.
what a
Yeah.
scene.
He brings it so hard. I fully had no clue who that was until the first word he said. I was like, oh, that's Joey Pants.
He's like, Joel.
Yeah.
Come on.
Don't kill me.
It's so great.
And Catherine O'Hara, I mean, it's sad that they didn't get a scene together, but that's the whole point of the
Yeah.
little storyline, you know?
Yeah.
It kind of would have broken the entire like
Mm-hmm.
point that they were trying to get to if they have gotten a scene together. But I think she does great. You know, her scenes with Joel, her scenes with Ellie. She's having a little bit of a moment right now. She's in the studio.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Very
she's
good in the
amazing in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And
She's in Home Alone.
right.
It just came out.
The idea of having a therapist in The Last of Us is really funny and also brilliant because like just the idea of like Joel mass murderer Joel talking to a therapist
So
is great.
this is another example of the general trade-off that happens when you tell things out of order, right? Because you get the novelty of it where like you're consistently like your interest is piqued because you don't understand everything fully, and then when you learn things you get that rush of like, you know, excitement and recognition. However, I think it would have played better if when Joel is talking to her, if you really did know what the fuck happened. You know what I mean? When he's like, when he meets her in the restaurant and he's trying to like talk through his problems, and when she's telling him why she resents him, I think it like I would have felt more from that if I
Mhm.
actually knew.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
then because then it's you have the context of that scene. Because not only did he shoot him in the face, it was you had the choice that at least they could have had final words with each other, and you still shot him in the face before they could have that. That's like some unforgivable shit right there.
Yeah.
Like that is crossing another level.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I think the other layer of the brilliance of that is sort of the, you know, I mentioned shortcuts a little bit ago, and I think that in this case, the shortcut is kind of a genius, little brilliant choice because in the game, Ellie goes all the way back to Salt Lake City
Yeah.
to the hospital to try to pick up the pieces of what went down.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
In the show, it's so clean how they do with the whole Joey Pants thing, where Ellie sees Joel tell a lie in the exact same way that he told her.
Yeah.
When they came back from Salt Lake.
Yeah, it's great storytelling.
Very
It's
good.
really good.
Yeah.
It's so
And-
smart.
Yeah, and they just lean on these performances. I mean, that's the bell I kept ringing when we did our season 1 coverage is just the casting of these performers is the real triumph
Yeah.
of
And-
this, and anytime you can lean on it is going to be a win.
And I genuinely think that a lot of it is just Bella Ramsey brings out the best in Pedro. He's a great actor. I've seen him be bad. That's all I'll say. You know,
He's stretchy.
CMB miscast.
He's about to be real
like
stretchy.
he's not like the most like Gladiator 2. That whole movie.
Oh my god!
is a
Don't
mess, but,
remind
like,
me,
He sucks in that movie.
bro.
Yeah, like he's not.
I'm
He's
gonna
just
puke thinking about that fucking terrible movie.
he's just
I'm gonna knock it down half a star right now. You reminded me about that terrible
Anyway,
fucking movie.
I just like for all the takes you could come away with here of like, oh, Bella's at their best when they're with Pedro. I think the opposite is actually really true. Like they're just, I mean, they're special together. They make each other better. They really, really do. Yeah, like Bella's the eye acting of like, I saw, you know, you lied and I couldn't tell. It's just, it's so compelling.
Yeah.
And it makes, again, you know, you get the feeling of everything clicking into place with Catherine O'Hara's character, but it's like, well, if I had known that, this is why typically stories just go in a line.
Yeah, to your point, everything everything that we don't know and then get revealed later, all of that would work better if we knew ahead of time. And
Yeah.
it's just the trade-off for the kind of story, yeah. And what really felt it is Joel playing that song for Ellie in the flashback episode. That happens the very opening of the video game.
Yeah.
In the very opening of the video game, it's sweet. But when I see it in this episode, I'm crying. Like it's better now that I know. Like now.
It's yeah, I guess it's just
Pearl Jam, baby.
what it does is it just concentrates when you really get the good shit, because that flashback episode is just like carrying all the problems I might have with the season. Like that episode is just it gives me everything. You know what I mean? So
which makes me miss Pedro even more.
Yeah.
The fact that we'll never see him.
I don't know, man. But to the wider point that you're kind of like talking about and making here, I think that is a way that I think would have made the show better and different from the game, is if we would have gone a little bit more linear with the storytelling. Mm-hmm. Like, I just think that would, those moments, there's a lot of it in the same way that I feel myself being like critical of certain choices because of playing the game. I also felt myself like almost like getting super excited because it's, to your point, Javi, of like whenever you hear the song being played, I know what the like emotional weight of that song means, even if it hasn't been explained to the audience goers. And like that's one of those things where it's like we could have gone a little bit more linear, maybe is a little more cross-cutting.
When she plays it on the stage, the first couple notes,
you hear it, and like we know it, and so I'm just like, oh god, this hurts. Instead, we get acoustic "Take on Me,"
which we love.
Which is, listen, I love an acoustic rendition. If you've never seen the MTV Unplugged, it's a great.
Isabella's acting in that scene is pretty fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Which apparently everyone's been saying that scene was optional in the game. Yeah. And I may have missed it.
You didn't play it on the good. It's one of the things where you walk. It's like you're kind of like wandering around the free open space, and then you just see guitar, and you like press triangle to pick up guitar, and then you just like press some notes on it. And find it.
I just don't think I got to Take on Me.
Oh,
it is fairly hidden. Like it looks like one of those buildings that blur in the background. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how many people did miss that. Because I remember watching it and thinking like, really?
Were you guys upset that we didn't have a scene with Dina where she takes Ellie to a synagogue and she talks about her Jewish faith?
Is that really
the thing that happens at the game?
Yeah.
Oh. Neil.
You read a whole
That's
note
whenever
from a
you
rabbi.
whenever you first get to Seattle, it's like more open world. You can like go into this building and like look for like a sawed-off or like a double barrel shotgun. You can like walk into this other building and it's like, oh, it's the synagogue. We gotta climb through here. I remember when my grandma used to take me to temple.
I really
something like that.
One thing I'm never gonna.
Craig had to have a conversation with Neil about that. For this.
I was like, I'm sorry, buddy. We
not right
the
now.
State of the world probably don't want to touch that one.
I mean, also this is fucking Latina Dina.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, hey, in the apocalypse, if you find a Torah somewhere and you have all this time to translate it, like that's going to be a religious experience for you. Like, and I mean, the whole thing was weird. I think I missed that the first time I played the game. I do miss little stuff like the note from the rabbi. It was kind of like sincere. And I forget what it says exactly, but it's kind of like him helping some family with troubles. And then Dina talking about, oh, my sister used to dip an apple in honey like once a year, like little things like that. But
speaking of good cuts, I think overall.
Speaking of religion,
just the little stuff that you get wandering with these guys.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I miss.
The Seraphites. We're introduced to the Scars, aka the Seraphites.
Wait, so before we get into that, Drew, what are your thoughts on the Scars as someone who does not have background to like what their deal is?
Every time I saw them, I wanted to know more about them. I think it's like from conception, I just think it's an awesome idea for something to exist in this world.
Did you find them spooky?
Yeah.
Okay. It's fucking scary as shit. Could you imagine being like, oh, not only are we going to string you up by your neck, we're going to cut your fucking insides.
Well, the reason why I ask is because that's like legitimately one of the scariest points of the game is the first time that you like they wander into the woods It's pitch black. You can't see anything, and you just hear whistling around you. And then they have to like watch out for arrows being fired and like people carrying torches coming after you. And it's like legitimately pretty scary, like as you are kind of wandering through here.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Again, I think it is sort of like a not a non-linear, but like you learn about them in pieces.
Yeah. You have that one cut to, which isn't in the game, of like them, you meet a couple of them in like a, I don't remember if it's a cold open or what it is, where they're just like walking through and they're like, "Mummy, are we going to make it back to camp?" And it's like, they're not gonna make it back to camp.
I think it's like a brilliant, like, shout out Druckmann. That's just like a cool thing. I think it rocks. I think it's a great, to have like a little occult, like, anti-technology world. I absolutely love it.
They're cool.
So how much time in the game do you get with Josh Peck?
Dude, I did not clock that was him.
Really?
And then I saw it in the credits and I was like, Josh Peck was
Yeah.
the fuck? And he dies by grenade in the truck.
He's the one who's just like the shithead, like bragging about just like killing
Yeah.
killing some fucking dudes, right? Yeah.
Hey man, shout out to Jeffrey Wright reprising his role from the video.
No, I did not realize that was Jeffrey Wright's voice. And I don't know. I think that like as I was playing, I was like, man, this voice is really familiar. Man, just seeing him in here, I hope in season 3 we get more Isaac, because Isaac is like a fascinating character. I think that we will, based on like the little tea leaves that we're getting.
And that there's gonna be 2 more seasons. Like they're giving
better get some Jeff.
Yeah, they're setting up time with all these people that we've met. Like they're gonna give us that 100%.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking the same. Jeffrey Wright, man, like he's so good in the show. Even his
He's
little
goated.
like, yeah, man, it's exciting. Like they killed it with all the guest stars, but he's just so cool. Even the torturing guys, I'm like, oh man, I'm so excited.
That scene was so intense.
It was
I
rough,
mean,
man.
my complaint with this is just the part 1 of it all. All of the scars, WLF stuff. It just feels like it's all set up.
Yeah.
And the season ends and you don't really get any resolution there. And I think season 1 did an incredible job at giving you these little moments of setups and payoffs with these like ancillary characters, like the Melanie Linsky character. You have these little mini arcs where you did find resolution, and I just don't think we're getting it here with the way they designed this season. So it's tough. I mean, I don't want to be super overly critical of it, but it does feel a little bit like a lot of this stuff is kind of incomplete, and we're not going to fully get the resolution until 2027. But when it comes, baby, what's coming is super hot fire. And it sucks that a lot of the conversation around this season is just that. It's just wait for what's coming.
Yeah, it's tough. Again, I don't know the absolute answer, but my gut says that a lot of my issues, like I said, I really like the season, and a lot of issues would have been solved with just giving me a little more. Here, give me another episode. Like,
find ways to change it up. I think that was the big fuck up here, is that they stuck a little bit too close to the source material.
It generally, making a TV show a lot of the time can be like what happens with bands when they have a huge debut album. Is like, well, guess what? You know how you had your whole life to make that? Now you have 6 months to make the
follow-up.
Yeah, you're on tour. Your entire life is different, but you have to do better somehow. Like it's a difficult task. In a show like this, everything and everyone in it becomes more expensive.
Yeah.
And so you have less time with them. Particularly Pedro is like the busiest person on earth.
They got so much out of a very limited
exactly. And all the creative minds are being pulled, into new projects every which way. So everything, when something is so successful as season 1, everything gets harder when you're making more seasons of it.
And this is, I mean, we said it, this is just a tougher story to adapt. It just is. It's a higher bar to clear. Switching gears a little bit here, Javi, let's talk about spores. Okay. We didn't get spores in season 1. A huge part of the dynamic of this game is avoiding airborne mushroom spores.
Right.
Makes a ton of sense.
They saved it for
again.
here.
Well, it's also it's a good plotting choice, to make it so it's less of a constant above ground threat.
Well, you don't want masks on your expensive actors.
Exactly.
There's that. There's the introduction of like new things to this world.
Yeah,
this isn't just
it's
a stagnant
evolving.
world. This is an evolving landscape. The other thing is stalkers, which fuck stalkers from playing the game. Fuck those things straight to hell. I hated those. So I'm glad that they capture like how creepy they are and like
They learn.
I love that too. That's episode 1.
Yeah.
Where
that you first
it's
see
awesome.
and then you
It's
get
so cool.
you get them again coming on here. I'm interested to see what they're doing as far as like the cordyceps like feeling. Like they
didn't really touch on much.
Like that's definitely more to come.
It loves too.
With that, that is something that is a wholly new
What
thing
is this, like
to
the
show.
end of I Am Legend?
Thoughts on the spores, Javi? This whole level B2, what is it? Where we have the spores in the hospital?
B2 because nobody's been on B3 yet, so nobody
Except a
knows.
certain where are the rats, Javi? Where are all the rats? We haven't seen any of those rats.
Well, they're not on B1. But spores are exciting. There's some moments in the game that, in the first season, spores weren't in there. I thought not a huge deal. I mean, there's not too much in the first game that happens with them. In the second game, just for context, when, Ellie saves Dina by pulling out her arm and she gets bit, in the game, Ellie's gas mask breaks.
Yeah.
And Dina's like, "Oh my God, here,
I have
take
to
my
kill
mask."
you.
Yeah,
No.
like,
It's Dina's gas mask breaks, and Ellie takes hers off and puts it on her. And Dina's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You're gonna kill yourself." And she's like, "Nah, dog, I'm good."
No,
You're straight. Yeah.
it's like Ellie falls over the train. There's like a little cutscene, and then her thing breaks. Dina looks at her, she's like, "Oh my God!" She starts. That's when she's about to take it off, and Ellie literally grabs her hand. She's like, "Don't! I can't get infected. Look, I'm not coughing." And then like, "Okay, let's run." And then right to the freaking turnstile. So that happens in the game. I missed that a little bit just because my attachment, how frantic that is. And I still feel weird about the theater thing. But the basement scene with Nora, that was, I hoped it'd be in the show. I knew they had to do it in the show, but it's a really cool scene. And the way they did it with people there, like, like breathing spores in and out, is so fucked up. I
It's
love
a
that.
very eerie visual. Shades of like Alien. Is it Alien or it's Aliens?
It looks amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's so
The little
it's
like
so
wispy
well done.
spores coming out of their mouths. Yeah.
Well, just the red and black of shots of Bella.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, when she's chopping up with the pipe. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the almost like psychedelic look of the bodies like sewn into the
Yes.
It's just it all
Rusty.
it looks like money is what it looks like.
It's
It looks like budget.
It's like the flashback in season 1 with in the mall with the first girlfriend, when you see that infected crusted up on the wall times 20 times 100.
Oh, it looks a lot better. Like the budget is showing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the whole thing about these infected are older. This was the first level of the outbreak in 2003.
Also,
that's how they set it up.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like it's another level. Speaking of, like, if you want to see an example of a normal actor struggling to read like comparable lines to what Isabella and Bella are so good at, Storm Reed in that episode.
A little tough, yeah.
She's just, I mean, it's hard to do. Like this entire show is a really hard acting assignment for anybody in it. So I don't blame them. But I really think that we're getting like some powerhouse performers here. And I was really, really impressed that they were able to bring in someone as good as Isabella Merced, because like she's delivered.
She's caring. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if their dynamic isn't working great for me.
I think that you're right. And especially after talking through this, like I think that I might have said like I wasn't vibing with them like as a dynamic. And I think that is true, but I don't really blame the performers either way. I think I blame a lot of it just on the writing.
Yeah.
And it is judging it against the scale of.
I do like the
Felon.
choice to make Dina have her own relationship with Joel. That's something we didn't see in the game. Dina and Joel don't ever talk in the game.
No, and I think when Joel's he's on the porch referring to Dina to Ellie, he's like, I don't know if what that girl's intentions are,
Yeah.
but she'd be lucky to have you. And in the show, he's like,
I know her.
no, yeah,
I
that's
like
Dina.
her.
Yeah, she'd
No,
be my daughter.
That's a great call. There's a lot of little things that I think fall to the wayside because a lot of the stumbles are so, kind of visible here. But then there's all these little tiny choices that I think keep this thing afloat in a major way, because the whole time you're remembering like, oh yeah, Dina's here on her own choice.
Well, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the big shift, it seems like, is in motivation.
Yes.
Because the reason they're going to Seattle is completely different. It's different characters leading the way. So yeah, they had to give Dina a reason to give a fuck about Joel. Otherwise, none of this would make sense.
Well, and in that way, like Dina is like the only real big character who has more agency in the show than she does in the game. Like, where she is there also for like, she also wants revenge. Like, she also had a very, very close relationship, and it's just like he was like a dad to me too in his own way. Where in the game, it's like, I'm just there because I love you, babe.
Yeah.
I'll go wherever you go.
but also toward the rushed feeling of certain things, like I'm pregnant. It's Jesse's. I want it to be yours.
Yeah,
like
I'm gonna be a dad.
Whoa. That was quick.
The best way I can rationalize this in my head is like, okay, Dina's a little crazy. She's like, she's one of those girls where she's like, yeah, exactly. And
you're honestly
that's
right.
what Ellie's all about.
Ellie's just like, I know that there's a stereotype about lesbians, but like, let's slow the roll here a little, okay? Like you just now coming out. Like we can't.
That honestly is completely true. That's like, yeah, these are like kids. You know what I mean? Like these are, they don't know what they're saying some crazy shit.
There's another great change here that remind me in the game, Dina's whole sort of like queer gay coming out is already happened. Like this journey of Dina in the show of her sort of realizing that she loves Ellie and then she has these feelings and opening up about her sexuality, that's all new.
I don't think it's like expressly like I don't think it's ever expressed one way or another in game. Like we don't have a moment like there is in the show where she just like, I told my mom whenever I was young that I liked girls and boys, and she said, no, you just like boys. We don't get a moment like that in the game.
But there's a scene earlier when she says, I'm not gay.
Well, yeah, no, but I think also in the game, and Javi, correct me if I'm wrong, there isn't the same amount of time that passes in between Joel getting attacked and then them going to Seattle.
Yeah,
like in the game, it's more so implied like,
it's immediate.
Her and Jesse, like they broke up after like being together for like off and on for years, whatever. At some point they hooked up. In the show, it's more implied that like, hey, they had that smooch that one magical night at the New Year's Eve party. Then they hooked up again in the months of Ellie being like incapacitated in the hospital. And that's why she is pregnant now, which does change the timeline a little bit of her coming out.
You're definitely right, because she's in the hospital for 3 months.
Yeah.
And so in the game, and yeah, exactly. And in the game, I think like the next day after they bury Joel, they're like, all right, we gotta go.
Yeah, they're like, we're going. Go. Yeah, we're doing.
So because of that, there is the difference in the relationship, because you're right. During that time, and Dina says she goes back to Jesse. So she tries him on again. They're together, and that's the period where they have the baby, and then they definitely focused more on the relationship with Dina and Ellie, just for like TV sake, like drama, to bring something out, where normally there would be gameplay. You need to have some kind of central relationship drama happening.
Because you're not crab walking, grabbing balls.
Also, maybe part of it too is that, again, to your point earlier, Drew, Jesse wasn't really given a lot. Jesse was kind of NPC mode. So it's just like we don't got to worry about like their relationship. He was just like the closest warm body.
He just had a nice cock.
Yeah. Look, you see Jesse and you're like, that guy's got a nice cock.
Yeah, we got to get him in here.
I mean, he's a hunk for real, but like,
come here.
He's
Whip it
he's
out.
gonna be the leader of Jackson, you know? That's a whole other thing we don't see in the game, that whole dynamic.
That's true.
But Javi, you mentioned earlier that there were some aspects of the theater that you weren't super hot about. So I'm curious if you want to expand on that. Is it the Ellie Dina dynamic? Because I remember you putting some stuff in the Discord channel about like the amount of information that we get in the show compared to the game, specifically the scene when she tells her about what Joel did. Is that what you're talking about, or was there something else?
There's definitely the theater is what I meant when Ellie finally tells Dina
Yeah.
what she knows about
oh,
what Joel did.
I saw a lot of people upset about that.
I really liked it. I'm glad they did. Without saying
Okay, so
too
you're
much,
pro that.
I'm pro that.
Okay.
What I had a problem with in the theater specifically was just the kiss because it was pretty jarring. But in hindsight now, especially because like the next scene after that is, oh, this is why I felt this way, and this is why I felt that way. So again, that kind of like eased me up a little bit on it. Still, just I remember the moment very well because I was just like, wait, what? What's happening?
Well, it's not just kiss. It's I think
Oh,
I have to kill you because you're infected, and
that's
then
true.
oh, kiss and now fuck.
I'm pregnant.
Kiss fuck, I'm
Let's
pregnant. Yeah, it's crazy.
You're the dad.
It feels really insane.
A
Yeah.
really cool decision in that scene is not seeing Dina's face. Like you just see the light, you kind of
Yeah.
see the gun, which is really cool aesthetically. But I think because of that, you're kind of distancing from Dina. So I remember on my first watch, I wasn't thinking like, oh, she's been waiting up, like watching Ellie. Which you do get kind of a time cut, but I just think
It's a
it's
few
another
hours
thing
at
from
least.
the. It must be right because at this, I don't know,
So
but I
question,
think
what is the timeline for somebody getting infected? Because I feel like it changes pretty wildly, both
Well,
in the show and in the
the
game.
little boy in season 1, I think, is a good.
It's like 12 hours.
Yeah, it's like 12 hours.
It's like a
It-
long time happens. And her, like, Dina gives it like an hour and a half, and she's like, you're probably safe. You're probably good, like, at this point.
She's horny.
Yeah.
if I get it right,
You
I
want them
think it's.
cordyceps.
It depends on where you get bit. So I think like your lower extremities, it'll take a little bit longer. And I think Joey Pants gets bitten right in the torso. So that's got to be a pretty quick turnaround.
Mm.
But I think there's like a sign up in I think the first episode that Fedra has that kind of breaks it down, but I forget what it is. But it's like a matter of hours. No, like
In the first episode of the first season,
first episode,
Yeah.
first season.
when Joel's like
that's-
walking around Boston. Yeah, I know what you're
he's
talking about.
shell of his former self, and that kid shows up and like, hey, how you doing, kiddo? You want to play? You want to play some games? Little Tonka truck time, and boom, lethal injection.
We got to talk about the finale before we start to wind down. So, you know, we were talking about how sort of jarring it is to crush through as much plot in this finale as we do. But I think that there's some really good moments here. Just because of the nature of what this story is. I mean, this is sort of the climax. This is the meeting point. We haven't seen Abby this whole season. I'm really curious, Drew. Like, I don't think, I mean, you said up top like how shocked you were about Joel's death, but I'm really curious, you know, since you didn't know anything, like how did you feel about just Abby in general and the idea of somebody like Caitlin Deaver being cast in this role and then just not seeing her at all season? You must have been waiting this final episode like for her to show up again, right?
Well, yeah, because also, you know, I've heard and read of plenty of people talking about how central of a character fucking Abby is.
And then
like,
she's just like not around.
yeah, it's a huge deal. And Caitlin Deaver is also a great actress who I like
Right.
very much. But and so I was extremely I felt it was extremely lacking. I was like, where the fuck has she been? Like, I don't. And if I were if I didn't have the context of her ending up mattering, and B, if I didn't have faith in this production in general,
You would just forget that.
no, I just wouldn't be excited for
Right.
season 3.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
Because
I
know,
do
because
wonder for that point, how many people are just not going to watch season
well,
3?
A lot.
that's what
The
I'm saying.
viewership numbers are
Like,
not great.
they don't take the time to get you invested in her. you only see her sort of in like intense in like battle mode, in like ready to go, like fight or flight mode. You don't you understand, you know what I mean? There's a difference between being told about her motivations and why she's like this and being shown it. And we haven't been shown anything yet for Abby. That said, I have faith that it's going to happen. These are competent people making the show. And so I have no issue buying into, getting to follow a new cast in season 3. But I could see plenty of people being like, what? No, I don't even, who is that? What?
Which actually mirrors the game because a lot of people stop playing.
Yeah.
At that moment.
Oh, I'm sure. That's again, it just goes back to like, I cannot believe Druckmann made all these choices. It's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
To cash in all the goodwill you've built up and really alienate so many people in the name of like coming up with an original cool story. Like that's cool.
I wish that I could have been like a GameStop employee on like release day of The Last of Us Part 2 when there's like a guy who's like
you're like going out of business.
There's like a guy who comes in. When did The Last of Us 2 come out?
2020.
It was 2020. That was
dude.
Jesus.
I fucking remember that shit.
You're just like waiting behind the counter. It's release day. Somebody comes in. They like buy a game. They're so excited. They return 2 hours later and they're like, I don't like this fucking game. They made me kill Joel. I don't like this fucking game.
Give me my money.
Bullshit.
Wait, so it's 2020? There were that many years between the first and the second. When did the first one come out?
2013.
13, yeah.
Wow.
That's why people think that they're, well, I don't want to say.
Oh, okay. No, I'm kidding.
No, I don't.
Did Neil Druckmann do COVID?
Yeah.
As promo for his game?
I think that was a promo for the thing. I think that's what we're at.
But I really want thoughts on like this moment when Ellie kills Abby's friends. Because, brother.
Yeah.
You watch Joel die, horrible death, and you think, okay, this show probably can't get darker than this, and then somehow it still finds deeper depths, right? We get Ellie bashing this woman's face in, and then we get her shooting these two people dead in cold blood. I mean, one of them, I guess, reaches for a gun. Maybe he was asking for it. I guess we try to rationalize it however we can. But the other one,
3 people, Ernest.
Exactly. The other one is pregnant. And I'm really curious what you guys think of this. I mean, this is very similar to how it plays out in the game, except for one key difference in which Mel asks Ellie to cut the baby out.
Oh, brutal. That scene is fucking brutal. Well, also, I mean, another difference is like in the show, like she doesn't like necessarily mean to shoot Mel. Like it almost looks like it's like
she's not really aiming, right?
Yeah, bullet like goes through Owen, then kills Mel.
Yeah, it's what you'd call collateral damage in Call of Duty.
Right.
Collat.
Yeah, but that was one of the more
very upsetting,
hard to watch things in the entire show. It was really inspired writing. Like
it's a great scene.
It's always interesting how writers handle when someone is dying and like slowly sort of departing from reality, and the idea of Mel being like, you're doing great, as Ellie's doing absolutely nothing it's really, really impactful, like emotionally.
The performance, I think.
Yeah, it's so well done. Like you know what I mean? It's just like a naturalistic style that like to come in that unnatural of a scene, like A+, like really, really good job.
And I think, going back to the point of shortcuts, I think it does wonders to get us to a place where Ellie is past the point of no return. I think that, for all the moments in which this season chose to simplify her arc, I think this is a moment where they do the right thing, in my opinion, to inject this like way, way, way more dramatic, overblown moment that actually gets you to the place you need to go, and the shortcut actually pays off. You guys agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, that scene, it's just a messed up change, but what I love to see, because I think, They struggle for a knife and something in the game, and that's rough. But just the
I
whole accidental quickness of it is just so
yeah, I
visceral,
think
I feel like.
I think that this is like another one of those examples where it is an advantage for the show at large because we do spend so much more time focusing on the pregnancy aspect
Hmm.
to, you know, some mixed results when we're talking about our boy Jesse. But like
He
it
has to
just
be a dad. He has to live.
but just in general, like it is kind of like it throughout the entire season. It's like once we learn Dina's pregnant, it's like we're gonna keep reaffirming like she's pregnant, she's pregnant, she's pregnant. So then when that death happens, it
Yeah.
hits that much more.
Also, love that we don't have to kill a dog in this scene.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
good.
Thank you.
Or horse.
Oh my God, I forgot about
Shimmer lives.
Just living on in that music store, just chilling.
Shimmer dead as shit in the game, Drew.
The,
I know that
the animal death in the game is
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
you got to kill a lot of dogs.
Thank God that HBO and Craig Mazin, they were like, yeah, we're not.
Yeah,
They're
not
like,
even-
Neil, you fucking sicko.
We're not even gonna hint at that.
I think Craig Mazin made a joke like, yeah, after Chernobyl, I get like one dog killing episode. So
Oh my God, I forgot about the fucking Chernobyl dog kill. That yeah,
what a great
Wow.
show that was.
Yeah.
do a whole dog killing.
I think you bring up Chernobyl kind of made me think about a thing, and this goes for Craig Mazin and it goes for The Last of Us as a whole, that all of these criticisms that I've levied, I'm sure you guys kind of feel this way. I'm being more critical because like I hold this show in like a certain level of esteem that like I think that like I want this show to be, I think that the show, at least from season 1, had the potential to be like one of the great things in television in recent memory. And so seeing a little bit of stumbling happening in a season is disappointing only based on like what I know is possible. Same thing for Craig Mazin. Chernobyl is like one of the best miniseries like ever. I don't know. It's one of my favorite miniseries that I have ever seen. So deeply profound, becomes more poignant with every passing day that goes by.
Mhm.
With every passing
Twitter feud.
Trump administration member who says nothing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Every passing Elon Musk gathering our personal information, now just having that in the free space. Yeah.
All right,
So that's why I'm hypercritical of the show. It's because I love it so deeply.
Drew,
I want it to be great.
I think this is time. Any last thoughts? We're gonna have to kick you out before we get into speculation for season 3. Why don't you do a little season 3 speculation? What do you hope to see?
Okay. Episode 1, Abby dies.
She gets hit by a dump truck.
Yeah.
All of season 3, I should tell you, is just the Jesse season. We just hang out with our boy Jesse.
So I know that Josh Peck has died. However,
Drake
is alive.
He's in Mexico.
He's been touring on his new album.
He's leading a cult.
Yeah.
And they're all underage.
Yeah.
In the post-apocalypse, what does it matter? We have homophobic people back in here. Like
Season 3 is mostly about Drake Bell. He is sort of working his way through. He's trying to make it through Fedra High School, but he's dumb as fuck, but he's hot and cool.
Oh man.
He gets hose. But he has to live with his kooky stepbrother.
Yeah. Megan gives him cordyceps. That's a prank. It infects them. Anytime we ask Drew to speculate on a future season of any show, it's just going to be Drake and Josh.
I'm trying to think of who would play like a silly stepbrother. We have a real shortage these days. Skylar Gisondo.
Honestly, yes.
Who's this guy?
Born in his wrong time.
Skylar Gisondo?
Dude,
Is this Jimmy Olsen from?
Yes.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. Love that kid. Kid rocks.
Yeah. That's apt. I would watch that. 100%.
Honestly, he would do great on this show. I mean, if you have Catherine O'Hara, you could put Skylar Gisondo in here.
Just throw him in there.
Kevin. Anyway, I'll leave.
So the very last scene
Wait,
is
are we
my
not going to get to
favorite
try
because-
the Rizzler?
Do you want to do this really quick?
Yeah.
Are
Oh,
we
hell yeah.
allowed?
Yeah.
Oh my God, they actually say Oreo on them. I didn't realize.
Oh yeah. So
They're actual
this
Oreos.
happened right before we started recording. I got a package in the mail. It was like a really big box. It was mostly packaging because it was marked as perishable. So I had to open it immediately, even though my birthday is coming up next week.
It's a birthday anonymous gift.
I don't know who it's from. It is custom Oreos, like Oreo brand Oreos that have a screen printed type picture of the Rizzler on them in sunglasses. And they all say happy birthday, Riz King.
You're gonna have to
sick.
like hold them
Yeah.
up close to the
And
camera.
I'll take a picture.
Yeah, we'll superimpose it.
There's a lot of them, and they're really like well made. Like the picture is high quality.
See the
It's
crust
covered in sprinkles and like vanilla cream, it looks
All
like.
right, let's see.
So did they taste like Oreos? Is kind of my.
Well, they're Oreos. They
All right,
are.
Okay, I've never had an Oreo with fucking.
I'm gonna
sprinkles on
bite
it.
You've never had an Oreo with
Also,
the Rizzler on
it's-
it?
I'm gonna bite the
creamy.
Rizzler's face.
It's creamy on there.
Tastes like an Oreo.
Brother, it's good.
Nice.
I'm gonna
Is
have
it
some
frosting
more.
on it? Or
Yeah,
just
Yeah, it's,
it's like-
frosted on the
It's
outside.
like an Oreo dipped in frosting and sprinkles. Yeah.
Damn, that's so
Honestly, is that
badass.
frosting in the middle instead of like normal Oreo cream? It might be.
Maybe. I feel like I'm getting shorted by only having a dozen of these.
I will say normally.
Thank you, Drew.
I'm a
You're welcome.
Happy
sprinkles
early
hater.
birthday.
Thank you.
Happy early birthday. Happy 30th.
Happy early
buddy.
birthday!
Normally I'm a sprinkles hater, but it adds a nice texture to these Oreos. That's nice. That's lovely.
It's got that
Yep.
Rizzler taste.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best cookie and the best content creator ever made, dude.
And Drew, how
It's
many,
Milk's favorite cookie and Milk's favorite boy.
Drew, how many booms would you give this?
Oh. What's the max? What do they go to? 5? I think it's 5.
No.
I don't know. I hate those two. I really am only interested in this boy. Yeah, Big Justice and AJ can go fuck off. They reek of inauthenticity. The Rizzler I fully buy is just like some kid who is like funny for his age. You know what I mean? I think he's a real boy.
He's a real boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Big Justice like terrifies me. He has fear in his eyes because he's scared of his big giant dad. I don't know which one is which, to be honest.
Big giant
I
dad.
think Big
Wait.
Justice is the dad and AJ is the kid. Is that wrong?
Oh, really?
I don't. I thought so.
It
All
would
I
be
gotta say is boom. I'm gonna give you 5 booms.
Yeah, anyway, I'm good.
I'm now turning against the sprinkles a little bit. It was nice for the first bite.
They're in
I just have
teeth.
sprinkles are just all caked up in my teeth, and I don't know what to do with that now.
Yeah, I'm out. I am gonna probably finish these tonight though.
Honestly,
Hell
these
yeah.
are really yummy though.
Yep.
I like the frosting. That's a good frosting.
I'm gonna have to send a few texts out to figure out who sent me these. I genuinely don't.
I don't think you should say anything to anybody. I hope that it stays anonymous, and your entire life you never know who sent it.
Deal.
It's probably your sister.
I think maybe. What if it's the Rizzler?
It's probably the Rizzler.
He sends these to
Felix
his
style.
with soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tom Cruise sends a coconut cake. The Rizzler sends
Yeah.
Oreos.
Oreos with his face on them.
Yeah, I gotta be friends with this guy. What the hell?
All right, later, boys.
Lee?
All right. Where do we want to start? Season 3 speculation. Well, let's talk about like how we leave off here. We see day 1, Abby.
Yeah.
That's like the button that we
We
leave off
see
of.
the Seahawks Stadium, which is a great. Whenever you first walk out as Abby and you see that, fucking rocks. Very
So
cool
cool.
way.
I like that since we already know Abby's whole deal, we skip the actual first thing after the cut to black, which is her being with her dad.
You're right.
Oh,
I wonder if
Which
that's
I
going to
hope we
be.
get it. We need that.
I'm sure that we
Zebra.
will. I wonder if they'll do the same thing like how they did for Ellie, where they just make a whole episode that's like the flashback episode of all of her moments with her dad, her walking, like her with her dad on the day of the surgery, like kind of all of that.
Mhm.
I feel like that might be the way they frame it.
Which
so cool.
by the
That'd be
way, we didn't
crazy.
mention the whole little scene of her in the hospital, like talking to her past self.
Yeah, that's true. That is
Yeah.
a new thing too.
I love that.
That was cool.
That was really great.
And this is like a very much a game centric thing that's I hope that the show we get more of is by the time you are done with the game, that image of walking down the hallway towards the operating room is such a haunting image because you have to go through it over and over and over again. First is Joel in the first game,
Then is
and
Ellie.
then is Ellie,
And then is Abby.
and then is Abby. Like multiple times is Abby replaying the events. And so it has this like this iconic imagery that's after playing the game, one of like the biggest images that one of the first things that comes to mind for the entire series is just that image of the hallway with the like lights out, the red emergency lights on, just walking down it.
It's haunting.
I just really hope that we get some more of that.
Javi, I'm really curious as you're watching the season and we're kind of ramping up here, you must have known that we were going to cut off at this point, right? Like doesn't that feel
Yeah, I
like
definitely felt like, I mean, it was funny because I remember playing that part of the game thinking, oh, I would be so mad if this was like a season finale or something.
and then you were like, oh, that's what they're gonna do.
Literally, I was just like, oh my God, they're actually gonna do that. Wouldn't it be so fucking funny? Like, but I mean, I knew they were gonna do that. I was pleasantly surprised of showing a little bit of Abby on the next day. Because honestly, that does serve to get me excited for like what's next.
So
Will we see Santa Barbara?
If you're still listening to this and you somehow haven't tuned out, we are about to spoil The Last of Us Part 2. So
the game.
Yeah, the game. So everything that happens in the game beyond season 2 of the HBO show we're about to talk about. So if you're still listening, you better listen because you don't care and not because we didn't warn you, because I'm warning you right now.
Sports.
So this was a thing where it's like whenever they announce not only is there going to be a season 3, there's going to be a season 4. That put me a lot more at ease for the future of the show because at least through the way that they handled season 3, I'm like, there's still way too much meat on the bone for us to wrap this up in 7 more episodes, especially if we do Santa Barbara and we do it right, which is like.
So you think 3 ends at the farmhouse?
No, well, I could see 3.
What do you think, Javi? Where does 3 end?
I was thinking about this recently, like just the other day. I think. Well,
is there enough in Santa Barbara to do an entire
I just don't think there's enough. That's
I don't. If they do one, I feel like it might be a shorter season because they can go a little bit more with Abby and Liv's journey. They could go like a little more Firefly background, but I don't see that taking up that many episodes as like a central plot point. I feel like if they do a season 4, it'll be a truncated season, like a shorter season.
Yeah,
or
like
at least
like a 5 episode.
Yeah, or something like that. But I saw like one of these most recent interviews with Neil Druckmann with some gaming outlet, and they asked if they would do Santa Barbara the next season, and he said something like, "Now they're getting into the writing room, and they're going to decide if they're going to do 1 or 2 more seasons."
Oh,
but
so
it
they don't
sounds like
even know.
Well, HBO like has come out and said like it looks like we're going to do 4. Like there's like it's very likely they'll do 4, but it sounds like they're thinking about going either way.
Well, maybe then the way to do it is like Breaking Bad it. Just do a part 1, part 2.
That's what they should have done here. And I know that the cost of it would have been astronomical. Like the financials of it probably didn't make sense, but we should be getting day 1 Abby in like 6 months, in like January.
Yeah.
It's a crazy cliffhanger to leave it on, and will it keep people coming back after so long?
Man. It won't. I've been tracking the viewership numbers, and they are way down.
I mean, not only that, I think a lot of the reviews from general TV people, like
just
TV
not on board.
Reviewers who did not play the game, are a lot more critical of this season for a lot of the reasons that we've kind of talked about on here, where it's just like, hey, I don't like Ellie anymore. I don't want to spend any more time with her. It's like, no, cool, Abby's coming. It's like, cool, I don't know who the fuck that is. So why am I waiting around for that?
But
Yeah,
they did a
this.
lot to kind of fill you in on her, don't you think?
I mean, yeah, episode 6 was great. Like they really they did all the right stuff. It's just the order the story's told in that I feel like it just people are gonna flounder and suffer with how to watch the show for a little bit. Gail has that moment in like the second episode, where she's like, Ellie's a liar. Can she be saved? So like it's a little on the nose. But still when people watching that show, I don't think they're thinking about it like that as much as like, girl, you gotta get out of there.
Yeah.
They're just more worried than anything about what's going on.
I mean,
Uh,
there's a lot of aspects of the way they approach this season that feel very similar to the way they approached the first season, because when they made the first season, they knew what Last of Us Part 2 was. So
mhm.
they could seed certain things. They could let you know about, Joel's death, or not let you know, but like, kind of plant these flags a little bit of what the dynamic was going to be, and the choices, the ripple effects of the choices. And I think that in making um season 2, there's a little bit of a similar energy where, like I was saying earlier, the way Bella is playing this part, the way the Ellie character is drawn, there is a coldness to it that I think is informed by the end of this character,
Yeah.
right? Like
We're starting at the end point and not at the beginning of where we see Ellie, where Ellie left off at the end of season 1.
exactly, like when you think about little choices like how Bella chooses to play Ellie, um like the some of the Catherine O'Hara stuff, like the spiel that she has to give to get out of the hospital to be cleared
Mhm.
by Gail, and then she walks away and she just goes like dead face, right? Like there's little moments like that that show you, oh, this is a person, this is a character that is quite possibly much, much further down this path than we
Mhm.
realize right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but think of the way this story ends every time, of her alone in the farmhouse.
So that's why I like. So one of the main reasons I wanted to kick Drew out to talk about the game, because I've not had a chance to actually have a spoiler filled discussion.
You
of
just
this game.
finished it.
I just finished this like in the last couple weeks.
And then you binged the season.
And then I binged through the whole season afterwards. Which might be informing some of my criticalness of the season of television that I watched. But I am thinking specifically, not even of just the farmhouse, which is haunting and which is very harrowing as you're playing it.
Sad,
but
dude.
how the game itself ends. Whenever we are in Santa Barbara, we go there and
Oh,
Ellie,
right, the farmhouse isn't even the end.
no, it's the farmhouse is where like she's getting the flashbacks of like seeing the basement, going down there and like hearing Joel screams, and while she's sitting there holding
The
Dina's
guitar.
baby.
Mhm.
It's holding the baby at first that she just like,
but then
her
she goes
panic.
back to the farmhouse
Yes.
again.
Oh no, you're right. So
Yeah.
that's the very, very end. Is
After
the
Santa
farmhouse.
Barbara.
Yes. But thinking of the end of the Santa Barbara, where it is this like extended epilogue, basically, of Ellie still can't fucking let this go. She still just like needs to kill Abby because she's still being haunted by this.
Crazy.
It's so brutal, man.
And we get the sequence because we're at that point of the game, we're cutting back and forth between the two of them. And that last like fight that they have after
water.
like Ellie cuts Abby down from like the crucifix basically that she's on, and it's just like, no, we are going to fight each other to the death right now, and you just have to do it. Like I was just playing it, and that was like the most emotional that I got in the entire game, because whenever you were playing it in the context of the game, you know that these are two people who both are so complicated that they have simultaneously this like vengeance, this like sense of like, I need to get revenge because you have caused me a pain that I will never be able to like vanquish, and I just, the only thing I can think that might appease it is by murdering you. And meanwhile also like there's this other part of them that's just like, we're just going to keep fighting each other over and over until we're both dead, and like we just need to like have some penance. We need to like let go. We need to face the consequences of our action, and that doesn't just also mean equal death on the other side.
Yeah.
And so it's the two sides of these of the same coin, of this complex situation that you're
It's the
seeing.
cycles of violence.
Exactly.
Never ending.
And that is like where my concern was with the show, is like, I don't want us to get too down into the darkness with Ellie, because otherwise that makes those moments in the game not hit nearly as profoundly. Like, we don't get those grays. To the point again of the cut to Joel and them her having the conversation with them on the patio, cutting back to the night of New Year's Eve, where she says, like, I just want you to know, like, I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive you for what you've done, but I'd like to try. And that is the note that the game ends on. That is just like
That's a gut punch.
That sums up everything. Like, that is everything. And I almost feel like they played that card too early in the show. That's like, save that thing. Like, that's what you need. That is the button on top of the entire.
You think they're just going to play it again?
That is the entire, I mean, that is like the thesis of the entire story at the end of the day. Is like, how can you forgive the unforgivable?
It's so, like, I'm so attached to that scene, obviously, and it being at the very end doesn't help. But I have to wonder what else. And it also makes me wonder, will the ending be like really different? Because at this point, I mean, Santa Barbara is action packed. Who knows how much of that they'll even put in? But I feel like
it's cannibals, right?
it's like slavers, and there's
torture slavers.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, are they also? I know there's cannibals in the first. Are they cannibals in Santa Barbara?
I don't remember. Yeah, I mean, you just played it. So.
I don't remember them.
Yeah.
They might have been, to be honest.
I don't think so. They're talking about eating like regular food. They're like, "Hey, I just killed a bunch of people, so make sure my mom gets like a ribeye tonight."
It's one cool thing.
Unclear from where.
One cool thing that's in Santa Barbara that isn't explored in the game that I would love to see is like, remember whenever you go to Santa Barbara and like Ellie's like sneaking into their encampment and they're basically like using the infected to like do like farm labor for them. Like, they almost have like just like them like one of them like on a chain, just like it almost looks like it's like plowing a field for them. Like, it's like crazy. Like, what is this world that we're in, that they have figured out something? They're also using slave labor, but also trying to use the industrial or
I vaguely remember that. I mean, it's been so long since I played it. I kind of want to do the full playthrough. That's just all I kept thinking about after watching this season is
man.
I kind of want to dive back in.
Yeah, 100%. I felt the same way. And it, like, the whatever I was missing from the game that wasn't in the show, it's made me think like, well, I could play the game again, and I'll still get that.
Yeah.
But I just, for now, I just kind of have to, and it was the same way with the game initially. It's like I just kind of have to sit here and take it, and hopefully it'll make sense later. You know what I mean? I'm just along for the ride. Where is this going? You can't make me play as Abby this long for sure. And I was wrong at like every step of the way.
Well, that's the magic trick I was talking about. The fact that the game puts you in this position where you're just like, fuck this. I don't want to sympathize with the killer of Joel. And then you do. And they nail it, right? I mean, you just did it. Like, do you feel like the game? Because in my experience, I was so wowed with the ability for that story to fully turn you around and show you Ellie as the villain and Abby as the hero. I couldn't believe it.
Well, but I don't even think it's necessarily that black and white, as Abby is the hero and Ellie is the villain, because I do think, like, one, throughout the entire first half of the game, you were still through the mind of Ellie, and you were just like, these wolves are like, they're basically Fedra. Like, they are also an army of oppression. You're seeing the horrors that they are doing. So you still think you are on the right side of this.
I guess hero's not the right word. I shouldn't use that word. It's not that. I don't mean to simplify it that much. I mean the idea that
you understand motivations.
You go from being like fully repelled by Abby to being drawn to her.
Yeah. They also do make a smart decision in the gameplay, which is that Abby's a badass.
And so it's more fun.
And you like get more guns immediately and they're better. And so you're just like, oh, well, I guess this isn't so bad playing as her. I guess let's go mow down some fucking scars. They aren't real people, right?
They do. I love it. I don't think I remember this in the first game. In the second game, like every time you kill someone, they like call out for their like loved ones.
Oh yeah.
They're like, no,
Rachel.
no.
They got Mateo.
That's pretty tough because you're like, oh shit, these are like actual fucking people I'm killing.
I mean, it's the whole theme of like that's what Joel did. You know,
Yeah.
Abby was an NPC.
Yeah,
her dad was an NPC, and then I hate to like reduce an entire art form to one thing, but video games, for the most part, are violence and killing, right? Like so much, even like the Koopas in Mario, like you're stomping and killing them.
You
right?
often say that video games are the reason why we have school shooters.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. And so for a game like the Last of Us Part 2 to dive directly into that trope and investigate it to the the lengths that it does and pull it apart and turn it inside out and be like, all those guys, all those Koopas that you stepped on, they had families.
That's
And-
really cool, man.
And they're gonna come back and kill you. It's genius.
It's great. It's
Oh, yeah.
ugh.
That's cool. I mean, if they gave me like a second half of the Mario game where I played as a Koopa, and I'm like, I'm gonna find these mushroom bastards, and I'm just gonna sling the shell at everybody.
Yeah.
Koopa comes back and he kills Luigi.
Yeah. I'm gonna Beyblade
Brutally
myself as a shell
beats his
into the entire Mario family.
It's gonna be slow.
Yeah, man, all of that stuff just works just
It's really good.
extremely well.
It's one of my favorite games of all time.
It really is something that like I put it off for so long because it was like I don't want to play games where I sneak around. And honestly, I do think that we've gone a little bit far in video games for like it's got a great story. And it's like, okay, but how is it like playing the fucking game? Like, I don't really like the story is good, but that should be an embellishing thing. The Last of Us checks this box. I think like the new God of War games like check this box where it's like a good story, but also it just like feels good as you're
Satisfying.
doing. It's very satisfying. It's like the right amount of challenge where it's difficult, but then you get through the thing and you're like, yes, I did it. I killed the fucking Rat King. Let's go.
Dude, the Rat King.
I can't
So
wait for
cool,
the Rat
man.
King. I do hope that we get even more Scar stuff than we got in the game because
Very
the scars
curious how
feel
to
like
do that.
that feels like such a ripe area. I'm already banking like I'd be willing if I could place a bet on it. Now we're gonna get the Lev episode where Lev sneaks off and like
And
tries to
Yara,
find his
right?
mom.
Lev
Lev
and
and
Yara,
Yara,
yeah.
but Lev like sneaks off from them to like go to try and like get their mom to come with them to Santa Barbara or whatever, and then instead she tries to kill Lev. Like, and then Abby has to go like chase after him and find him. Like, I would love to see that
And
whole
the hammer,
that whole everything.
the hammer crushing the arm.
Oh,
Man, yeah, so
Great.
much about Abby's campaign I'm excited to see. All the Seraphite stuff. I mean, they're such an interesting. They're like even in the games, they're probably the most interesting faction because
Yeah.
Fedra, the WLF, like there's so many similar themes between them. And in the show they like explain it
I mean, Isaac is the perfect. He was Fedra and now he's WLF. Like he's
exactly. Yeah, he literally is just like the same thing from by another name, basically.
Which, by the way, someone caught that in the game. There's the truck that he blew up.
Oh yeah,
Did you see this?
Yeah, and it's just a bunch of dead guys. They've been dead for God knows how long. And they left a note of like I think Isaac has a note in there saying like, all right, we'll leave we'll plan to meet you at such and such time. But even that, the
When he
tank,
flips.
yeah. Oh, and
wait, that's in the game. There's a note alluding to the Isaac.
You find
Against-
apparently
Oh,
you
that's
find
cool.
the
That's
truck
cool.
the truck
Yeah.
that he blows up. I want more Isaac. I want more like I've been saying, I want more deviations. I want
Yeah.
the show to find these nooks and crannies to just expand upon. And if you're casting Jeffrey fucking Wright once again in the role,
Let him
like,
cook.
yeah,
Let him
job.
cook.
we-
Has
With
Lev
Mobiel.
been cast?
no,
Okay, I didn't think so at this point, but
or mate, I don't know. I
I
might
don't
be,
think so.
yeah,
And also not in the theater in the finale.
right,
Which,
right, right.
yeah.
Lev is like right around the corner, hiding. Um,
Yeah.
I am curious, how you guys felt about all these little sort of setups that we know are going to have to pay off. I mean, one of my favorite ones was seeing the high rise walkway in the
Oh.
that
distance.
was really cool seeing that. I was like, we're gonna be up there.
That was awesome.
That was really good.
That was something that I almost wanted to like go back and play the game a second time to see if I just look up, will I see them? But I just
Yeah.
never thought to like turn camera to look up
Yeah.
at the sky and see this hidden
It's
walkways.
apparently when they were making the game, that's something they noticed from playtesters is that nobody would look up. So that's how they came up with the idea of like, oh, there'd be a bridge up top
Yeah.
that like the
Wow.
wolves never noticed, which
That's
I
really
think is really
cool.
cool. And as far as like stuff I want to see, like man, I'm curious. Okay, yes. My most exciting scene would be Tommy as the sniper, Abby going up there to fight him. All of a sudden it's like, uh-oh, who is this again?
It's
Um,
Tommy.
which in the game so much had happened, I completely forgot. Like all the setup they had
Right.
done, and then when I got there, I was like, oh my God, this is
That's
Tommy
right.
the
That's
whole
when you
time.
realize the stories have converged on each other.
Yeah.
Is like at that moment. But then again, in the show, like Abby doesn't know who the fuck Tommy is because Tommy wasn't there at Joel's
Right.
murder.
Right.
That's true. Yeah, that's
So
true.
She never met Tommy.
yeah, so I don't know how that will play.
Yeah.
That
So
exchange there.
when in the theater in the show, she says something like, he killed my friends. So for some reason, she suspects that it's him.
That Tommy was the one
Oh,
who did the murder.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what? You're
I
right.
didn't even catch that.
But I don't, so that just makes me think that whole scene is probably going to be different. So I wonder what they'll do there. Um,
I mean, it really does bum me out a little bit that we stuck so closely to the Ellie POV here, because in season one we saw how much they were willing to deviate. I mean, the Bill and Frank episode was kind of the standout with that.
Mhm.
But I was hoping that this season was gonna double down on that, we
Yeah.
were gonna get a Tommy episode at minimum, right? And I just going into a season three, I just don't know if they're going to do that because there's just so much to cover with the events of the game. I don't think there's room to really deviate that much.
Yeah, I think in that way, like as much as I don't want to have to wait another 3 years for this show to come out, I would rather wait 3 years and us get like 10 episodes that feel satisfying than wait
close
a
out
year
the
and
whole
a half.
thing.
Yeah.
Or wait a year and a half and get another 7 episodes that feel not as flexible.
I think what I've seen just from like behind the scenes stuff is they shot more stuff than is in the show. There's like the dinosaurs they shot. There's pictures of them there. There's like a clip from the original trailer of like Ellie blasting guys with an assault rifle. And there's they filmed scenes outside of Seattle. And I know that in the beginning of the second season, the way the second season opens up is something they filmed during the first season. Is
Yeah.
Ellie and Joel talking, like finishing their
Right.
conversation.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So I have to wonder if maybe they're gonna save some stuff for then. I don't know how much sense that makes, but it's I mean, at the end of the day, I hope they at least release it on the Blu-ray or something because
So remind me, because it's just been so many years since I played.
yeah.
So we start out in the stadium, right?
Yeah.
We get a full overview of this amazing like city essentially in
Yeah.
this stadium. And then how do we get to Yara and Lev?
So from there, because and I'm interested to see if they kind of like keep the same dynamic or if they change it all. Owen goes missing, and Abby is like looking for Owen. They start to hear like some stories about like Owen has gone like MIA or something like that. So Abby is looking for Owen. Meanwhile, she eventually finds, correct me if I'm wrong on like the timeline of this. At one point, she gets like pinned down, or she goes like on the hunt, whatever, finds Yara has been hit and is just like, okay, this is like a kid that needs my help.
But clearly a scar.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she decides to like feel empathy and help them instead of just like killing the Seraphites.
Yeah.
Later on, she eventually like kind of like moves away, whatever. She then like feels more remorse and she's like, fuck, those people are gonna die. I gotta go back and help them. Gets them to kind of like tag along with her for the rest of her journey to find Owen. Owen's hiding out in the aquarium. Man, I hope we get a lot of aquarium stuff too, because I love just like how
Great setting.
how lived
Yeah.
in that whole space ends up becoming
Agree.
as you play through it. But we get back in there. Owen turns out that he was like running away because he was becoming more like empathetic towards the Seraphites. Their
It's
messaging.
the one that the guy that Isaac is torturing when he's
Yes.
like, every day we pull one of yours
Mhm.
and you
Ugh.
never pull one of ours.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's so cool. It just makes the
was great.
Seraphites so interesting, man. I love that.
I want more Seraphite stuff. I mean, that was one of the things with the first game, or with the game, that I kept thinking about, is we're not really seeing more depth here. This is all very superficial, right? We're
Yeah.
interacting with this group in a very sort of standoffish way, always the antagonist. Lev and Yara being the only sort of in point. And I think the show has an opportunity to give us a full-on Seraphite episode or two. Like, we could really dive deep.
Yeah.
I think the show. I think you talked a little about this, Ernest, but the strike. I think because of it, there was probably some pressure to release a season a little bit sooner. So that's probably why they had fewer episodes. Because, um, but or some other limitation. Maybe it was budget because the show is like it is already like super expensive. But I think they were very preoccupied, obviously, with being super efficient with their timing. I think I
Yeah.
don't know. I do
I,
wish there was a little bit more.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what changed. I know for a fact that this show was definitely affected by the strike and was just, they were in production for the show and then they just had to shut it down for 6 months.
It's the
because of
same thing that
strike.
happened with House of the Dragon.
Yeah. Same thing that happened with House of the Dragon. Like, it's same thing that happened with fucking Final Reckoning and like a bunch of different like shows that like just shows and movies that had to completely stop everything they were doing in its tracks for 6 months. I don't know how much of that impacted the vision versus impacted the timeline for us to get the season. Like, was it
They
always
probably had
planned
to
be-
hit a deadline. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's the thing is like, if we would have had those extra 6 months, would we have gotten an extra episode or two, or was this always kind of how they wanted to disperse out the story? I don't know. That's an unanswerable question.
HBO has to have their Sunday night show.
That's true. They're like, shit, we have to have something
Yeah.
that's gonna.
But yeah, the Seraphite leader, remind me of her name. Feel her love, whatever her name is.
Maria, I want to say.
Hanrahan.
I want more.
Yeah.
Just tell me, just give me more information about all of that.
Right. And like even in the game you don't get that much. Which
That's what I'm saying.
in the game you find out like Isaac killed her and she's a martyr, and there's this like little sequence where you're Abby and you see this truck, there's like a mural, there's all these notes left. Which I didn't get from the game, but I just found out recently it's called like Martyr's Gate, and that's supposedly where she died, like where she was
Right.
killed.
Did you notice
Um,
in the show that the murals all show a completely different person?
I did not notice that at first.
I think that's the case. I might be misremembering, but I think every time we saw a mural, it looked like a completely different person.
in hindsight, yeah, because I think Ellie said something about it, and I went back. Like they have like very noticeably different skin tones, and I was
Right.
like, oh, okay. And
So
I think
So
there's something
multiple loves that we're feeling.
there. I
Or
think
were they just like, we haven't cast an actress yet?
I mean, yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that theory.
that's good.
I think it could just be this idea of like we don't know what she looked like. We just know
Yeah.
her story.
It's like, or maybe it's like a Muhammad situation.
Yeah, Jesus.
You can't actually show the true image of
Oh, yeah, it's like against the will of God. Yeah.
You have to
Or
just
yeah.
show like a different person.
Or the
It's
Seraphites.
blasphemous.
Yeah.
The Seraphites have like cool, fun black churches, and they have like more strict white churches. And
Right,
you have the
Man,
white
right.
Jesus in one, and you have the black Jesus in the
Yeah.
other.
Do you think there's different denominations of Seraphites out there? Is that what you're saying? There's like
There
It's
must be.
there's like the
It-
Lutheran Seraphites. They're like super hardcore.
The Southern Baptists.
I say that jokingly, but also there is like a little bit of Lev right before they hit the sky bridge, and he's like, the writings aren't like that. They're saying like, the gutting, like, because Abby's giving him shit about like, oh, the writings are you teach this and that, and he's like, the writings aren't like that if you read them. Like people change them for their own purposes.
Wow.
In that way, like religiosity is something that is like so fascinating. Like the propensity for human beings to like search for higher purpose at any point in the human race history. And the fact that absolutely would carry on through to this world that we're seeing here. So in that way, I think the Seraphites, there's so much room for opportunity there that I hope that they deep dive into everything.
Yeah, definitely excited for that.
All right. Well, I think we can wrap it up here. Any final thoughts, final notes, hopes for the future of this show? Anything you guys want to get off your chest before we go?
Man,
Last call.
I
Rat
I
King?
hate to say it, go gamer brain, but yeah, I want more action. Rat King, I'm glad we're getting. Like I know we have to get, but
It has
like
to be practical, right? Like they're building that thing right now.
they got to.
I hope
They
so.
have to. I mean, they've
Yeah.
done so good with it recently. I guess they had to shift like half CG, half real for the bloater.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're gonna, I mean, obviously.
But I mean, the CG has been really good, honestly.
Yeah.
Like whatever they decide, like
Yeah, I mean, I want action, but I was not as into the big set piece in episode 2, just like personally me, because that almost feels like not in keeping with the vibe of the show. It was like, why are we having like the White Walkers invading the town right now? Like that like just didn't feel of a piece of like the show isn't The Walking Dead. The show isn't about mass zombies coming. And like there's some cool imagery in there, specifically like Abby going through the fence coming down on her.
So good.
Yeah.
That looks sick. Them just like coming and invading the town, like I don't really need big set
Well,
pieces
you
like that.
need a Tommy
Yeah,
moment.
I want them like we are in this room right now, and there's like 6 bloaters, and I gotta figure out how
darkness.
the fuck to get out of here. Like that's what I want is like
And-
more of that vibe.
you're right, because this season, like the strongest episode, I almost want to say, it's between that and the finale for me. But I think it's just because of my attachment. It's so hard to parse through it on its own. It's really tough for me. But the sixth episode is so strong, and there's like
The
one dead
flashback,
infected
yeah.
in that episode. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
It's about the
So
people. It's
it-
not
it
about
definitely
the
is.
dead. Yeah.
I think for what I really want is just like redemption for Ellie through action, and just that even though she's like kind of painted as incompetent and a brat, like I do like that she's scared, but I do hope they're building up this like legendary survivor type thing where she's like by the end, she's like been through so much, she's disassociated kind of like Joel, where she can go on these missions and just like
It's such a tragic end, though. I mean, I just keep thinking about her going back out to look for Abby
it's
again.
it's really tragic,
God.
but also she saves Abby's life when she
Right.
goes back because she would have died had she
Good
not
point.
gone.
That's a great
So
point.
it's, I mean, yes, so much of it has to do with can Ellie like come back? Like, and I do hope they do that because the ending is so powerful to me. But just having Ellie, I think just being able to root for her, we want to see her, like, because she has the whole thing, like, that guy's a kid. We
Yeah.
need to help him, Jesse. We need to be able to see that she can help people, that she wants to make those choices. So if she goes to Rado Camp, there's a bunch of slaves there. I do hope we get like little moments of her just kind of being a hero, like in the traditional sense.
Do you think that this show starts to seed things from a potential Last of Us Part 3? because Druckmann's got to be thinking about it.
Ooh.
That's
You just
that's
gotta-
what I
he's
tried
gotta
to
hold back.
I didn't want to say the words Last of Us Part 3 while Drew was still out here, but I know like that is been like long wondered. The thing is, where Last of Us Part 2 ends, it kind of could go either way. Like
Yeah.
it could be something like that is something where there is an ending there. It's bleak.
The bleakest fucking ending.
It's very bleak, but like there is almost kind of a like a beauty to like how it does end, because it kind of ends like how life would end in that
Mhm.
way. There's also a chance that Last of Us Part 3 is Ellie taking the journey down to go find the actual fireflies and sacrifice herself.
That has to be it. And I don't
But
think
also,
you need
is that enough for a whole game?
Well, that's what I was about to say, is like, if that is the end of the story, which feels like the end of the story, you could just do that in the show.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You could just have like just again
That's season
a
4.
part 1, part 2, yeah, whatever it is. If
Yeah.
season 3, season 4, do something like that.
Yeah.
Sum it all up.
And they find the cure. And she
Because like
dies.
because Abby's looking for the fireflies, you know what I mean? She wants to go back to it. And now she knows that the Moon Girl is still out there. Like
Yeah.
that's to come up somehow.
Which, by the way, I've seen a lot of discourse about Joel saying that they could have definitely made a cure. And the way Pedro plays that line, I didn't really necessarily feel like he knew with 100% certainty that they could find a cure. I think he just is maybe a little bit of a dumb guy.
Well, I don't see in the game, I thought that it was a lot more like
There was,
it was a lot more like murky of like
yeah, absolutely.
we're gonna try to, we'll do our best. She's gonna die either way,
Yeah,
though.
but we have to try to
And
maybe.
you're right. In the
Yeah.
show, it does feel much more like, yeah, the cure 100% would have been there if it wasn't for you.
Yeah, but you're
Otherwise, you could just died for nothing.
but you're just
Yeah.
taking it on Joel's word, which like Joel's
Yeah.
just a fucking dummy.
I think just like
I'm not
in that
trusting that
sense.
guy's medical advice. I
Oh, I mean, we all know who Joe voted for, right?
He's an RFK
big
guy.
RFK guy. Yeah, he's like, keep your vaxes out of me.
But in that context, it's just like he obviously doesn't want to screw it up with Ellie. So, I mean, if he said like no, then obviously it would have felt like a lie because she's asking
Yeah.
him like, could they have made a cure? But I think, I mean, I don't know if he knows, but he probably hasn't really thought about it that much either. So he probably is just like, I mean, because he's really good at disassociating and repressing from what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And he goes to therapy and he's all like, I wonder why Ellie's mad at me. I don't know. Like,
I saved her.
yeah, I'll save her. I think by that point he's probably starting to get it, you know. But
Yeah. I just don't think that there was any certainty in that. And if he was convinced, that doesn't mean that's necessarily the truth. That just means that he thought that might be the case. But
yeah.
I just thought it was a dumb discourse line. I before we go, I just gotta shout out that scene again because that was the one moment this season where I did cry.
Yeah.
Was him saying that I did it because I loved you. Like that whole little bit there. I know I agree with you saying it. They kind of, played the card a little bit too early. I definitely agree with that.
It still works though. Brother, it's still fucking hits.
Oh,
Don't worry.
Man, the acting is just
That whole episode has like
So
3 genuine tear jerking moments.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that is why that is such a standout for me.
Agreed. Yeah.
Did you guys know that Neil Druckmann has a new game that's like
intergalactic. Yeah.
Oh,
Intergalactic,
yeah.
I'm
the
excited
Heretic
for it.
Prophet.
Yeah, we're
No
gonna
data.
lock in.
Listen,
Kumail Nanjiani, Tony Dalton as a cameo, as a picture in the background.
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention Tony Dalton
Yeah.
as Mr. J. Miller,
Oh,
Hey.
that's so true.
the dad. Yeah.
look at that.
Wish
Shout
I
out,
found
shout out, Better Call Saul once again.
Better Call Saul. Damn, I should have wrapped it then. I should have known. But I from a behind the scenes photo, I saw that his character's name is Javier Miller.
Oh,
I'm just gonna come right out and say it. I'm Joel's daddy. That's me.
yeah, Javier.
This is my fault,
Miller.
guys.
All
No,
right,
that was awesome.
we can wrap it up there. Thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Like and comment. Let us know your thoughts on The Last of Us Season 2. Check out WeBottleMike.net. Get every episode in your inbox. Join the Discord. Get in the conversation. Join the spoiler talks that we had with shows like The Last of Us. Patreon.com/we bought a mic if you want to support this podcast, $5 a month. Stick around for friendship. Stick around for 28 years later. F1. Apparently F1 is good.
Let's fucking go, dude.
We're back.
Go.
I'm hearing
so
rumblings. Vroom, vroom.
Joseph Kaczynski, we trust.
Javi, thank you so much for coming on once again.
Thanks for
Pleasure to have you.
Dude,
Any
always a
parting
pleasure.
words, life advice, anything you want to say before we go?
Thank you guys for listening. I want to say anybody who has given given Bella Ramsey a chance, all the new people, thank you for not doing the ugly Discord stuff.
Facts.
And you know what? Plug in for the ride. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah, we'll see you for season 3 in 2027, but we'll have you on before then. Absolutely.
Oh, we'll make it happen. If not, a little Rat King session is in order either way. So.
Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby.
Join that Discord.
We're locking in. It's summertime. We'll see you next time. Until then, R.I.P. Joel. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.